Well, a very good evening to you, race fans. Welcome back once again to Simple Racing Broadcast for your Tuesday night. And it is, of course, time for the Alliance Sim Racing Gard St. Gobain Supercar Championship. The final round tonight coming to you from the spiritual home of Australian motorsport, and I will argue with anyone who tells me different. It is, of course, Bathurst, Mount Panorama to finish this season off, and how can you possibly go wrong with any sort of V8 supercar around Bathurst as a season finale? An absolutely awesome race lies ahead of us, and I cannot wait to bring it all to you right here and right now. My name's Jared Cole. I'm in the booth once again tonight with my good friend Isaac Fogarty. Isaac, mate, we've been counting this one down for a while.
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everyone. This has been on the calendar, on my calendar, marked, circled, highlighted for quite a while, ever since this calendar was released. In fact, I've been looking forward to this all season long. What a way to end a championship at the mountain. I don't think there could be a better place to do so. And tonight, 40 laps, 2 compulsory pit stops, but it is going to be the ultimate test for our drivers and the opportunity for them to win or lose the championship in the space of an hour and a half, because this track is very, very challenging, as we all know incredibly well. I don't think there's an Australian out there, a New Zealander out there, or indeed a racing fan around the world who hasn't heard of this place, Jared, and knows exactly what it is all about.
Yeah, look, it's one that's burnt into the brain of all of us, really. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. If you're an Australian fan of motorsport at all, you know this track back to front. But for those who don't, I think it's only fair that we go straight to our team racing driver. Simon Haynes, of course, has put together our track preview for this evening, and he gets us out on track right now as we go for a drive around here. Let me talk you through just how difficult this circuit is as he makes his way down the main straight towards Hell Corner for the first time. This circuit is all about heavy braking. 210k an hour down to just 100k's through Hell Corner. Watch that curb on the outside. Don't get up and over it. You will be spat out sideways as you head up Mountain Straight for the first time. Slight uphill all the way to the Petters Banner before you get a little downhill run and pick up an extra bit of speed into Griffin's Bend. 260k an hour, hard on the brakes at the little marker on the left there, all the way down to 125. Then on the way out of the corner, heading up towards the cutting, it's one of the slowest points on this circuit. 190k an hour, heavy on the brakes. Get it pulled up uphill, get right in against that inside wall, 90k an hour, then straight back onto it. Watch the rear wheel spin as you come up and over those few little bumps on the climb up the hill towards Silman Park for the first time. Coming through these corners, 180, 190k an hour, and hard over on that right-hand side suspension. Get it loaded up as you come across the top through Reed Park and heading towards Skyline, where you'll just top out here before the Coat Tyre sign at about 215k an hour, and then a really gentle and gradual progression of braking, getting it all the way down through the S's to 100k an hour down through the Dipper. Again, you're washing off over 100k an hour downhill there with not much room for error. On it again, watch your speed. The slowest corner of the circuit, Forest Elbow, is 85k an hour on the exit, going into the fastest straight in some of motorsport, in any of Australian motorsport, really, I'm pretty sure. 290k an hour is what you top out here down Conrod Straight as you get towards the chase. And not only do you get to almost 300k an hour, you're doing it right at this apex here. 290 on the brakes, wash off 190k's an hour of speed, get it back down to 100 as you get through this newer section of the chase, back on the power and down towards Murray's as the final corner. Again, up to 220k an hour, heavy on the brakes, some nasty curbs on the inside and outside of this one, 90k an hour through here, and that is a lap of Bathurst. Mount Panorama, it is not for the faint-hearted, Isaac.
No, it absolutely is not. So much gear changing, especially running down the hill there, and it's so easy to get it wrong. As you said, Jared, just scrubbing off over 100 kilometers an hour worth of speed in that downhill braking section, especially through Skyline in the run towards the Dipper. So there is a lot of challenge for our drivers as the tyres get worn through the evening, the fatigue starts to set in. There can be mistakes that creep in, as we see time and time again at this circuit. This is not a place where you want to be making a mistake, even in the slightest. Just a little bit offline, a little bit too much brake, you can lock a front, you can grab an inside, grab the inside curb there, and it will just spit you into the wall. So there is no room for error whatsoever this evening. It's going to keep our drivers on their toes, and I suspect we will see a number of safety cars across these 40 laps.
Yeah, entirely possible. Don't forget, of course, folks, 2 compulsory pit stops, a 60% fuel limit here tonight, so it will keep things interesting. And if that wasn't enough, let's take a look at how they stand coming into this one. And the battle is very, very much alive. Troy Stone Street has a really commanding lead over Luke Allman right now. There's 80 points in it at the moment, but not impossible if Stone Street has a clanger here tonight for Allman to take the win. And in his last appearance for ASR, or so he tells us at least, wouldn't it be a thing for Luke Allman to take out the overall win here? Mark Poynton, Stephen Varga and Brian Borg all really in the battle for 3rd place overall. There's not a lot to separate the 3 of them there, and so we'll have to keep a close eye on finishing positions for them. And then the Cup Trophy, Brett Horsell holding just a 9-point lead over James Hardy coming into tonight. Abel Verban only 48 points back from Horsell, so that podium anything but decided. And certainly a bunch of different places that can change hands here tonight. It's full points available for the one race here tonight, so a pretty good points haul available if you manage to finish up ahead. And given that the top 10 placings are all, well, give or take 15 points the difference, by my numbers here tonight, Isaac, it really should only take Allman having a really, really strong result. And if Stone Street finishes anything more than about 6 or 7 positions back, it just might be enough for Allman to sneak a win at the death here in this season.
Yeah, it's not out of the question. It's the mountain. Anything can happen. The question they ask every time you go here for the 1,000 and even the 12 hours, who is the mountain going to choose today? And that is the question I think we need to ask, Jared. Who is the mountain going to choose today? Will it be Luke Allman? Will it be Troy Stone Street? This is not out of the question. The times are close in qualifying. The drivers are quick. So it's really going to be a case of, does anyone make an error today? And will it be like, we wouldn't want to see an error out of anybody, but you know it can happen. And if so, which driver is going to make an error? Because that's going to be the big question today. I think everyone's on their toes. Everyone knows what the pace is here. And looking at the times on my screen, it is clear that our championship combatants are going to fight it out at the top end of this field all night.
Well, absolutely. And look, we've got a short warm-up session to go now. Qualifying has finished up, and I think rather than waiting for the official grid, we should really take a look at those qualifying times, because there was not a lot in it at all here tonight. This is how they stack up after qualifying, and this is how they'll line up for this final race of the season. Jason Bentz takes the pole at 2:06.055, just shy of dipping into the 2-minute 5s. That is, if you're not familiar with Bathurst, folks, that is blisteringly fast and not a long way off what you'll see in a real supercar around this place. Troy Stone Street, 4 tenths behind. Luke Allman only another few tenths behind that. So those two right at the top end, ready to fight this out. Allman will be starting from the second row, though, alongside Phil Manuel, his teammate. And look at the gap between Manuel and Daly for 4th and 5th. 6,000th of a second separating them, and not a lot more back to Poynton and Varga. Then Jay McKnight. James Hardy gives himself the best opportunity at taking out that Cup Trophy tonight. He gets himself onto 9th on the grid with Paul Burns in 10th. Then Rick Vigard, the last of the top class drivers before a glut of Cup Trophy drivers. Horsell, Hoffman, Verban, Sippel, Hayes and Toth all in there. Andrew Listener comes home in 18th with Scott Perrins and Ash Hall rounding out your 20 in qualifying here tonight. Keep in mind, it's a very, very close field right throughout here this evening, and survival, though, is going to be just as important. As we take a look a little bit further back in the field, Craig Rose, the last driver to set a time in 21st. Brian Borg, no time in qualifying. Neither did Dan the Dave Meister Yeaman lodge a time here this evening. So they're both going to be starting from the back. That's going to be a battle for Borg if he does want to challenge for that 3rd place overall. But we've seen him do it before. Can he pull it off at a place like Bathurst? That's the real question.
Yeah, that absolutely is the real question. Anything can happen, and certainly will happen in this situation. Look, it's not out of the question. That is for certain. Jason Bentz has been on an absolute charge lately. The form he has had in these last 3 rounds ever since the Nürburgring have been spectacular. 2 victories in the Nürburgring. Looked in a really strong position until late in the race at Adelaide. Came home in 3rd at the end of the day. But Brian Borg had a lot of pace, as did Mark Poynton. That was a beautiful finish between those 3 at Adelaide last week. The action went right down to the wire. We were supposed to get 2 races, only got 1, but that one race delivered. We only get 1 race again tonight, and statistically this season, Jared, we've said when there's it's two race format, race 1 is always a little bit more tame. Race 2 goes absolutely off the rails. When it's a one race format, anything goes. You only get one race. They don't mind how long it is. They are absolutely going to go guns blazing, balls to the wall for the final round and the final race. It is the last day of school, as they like to say. And anything happens because it doesn't really affect next season too much. And Luke Allman, this is his last chance to try and win a championship before he seemingly steps out of the car for season 9.
Yeah, and look, it's this is the thing, right? Bathurst always brings out this extra little competitive streak in all of these drivers. They've all spent so much time putting in laps here, as have so many of us who get into a bit of racing here down under. It's one of those tracks that even if you don't really love supercars, you don't really love Bathurst, you still have to drive it. It's the rules. It's the rules. Andrew Rushworth just pointing out, wonder how many of them actually read the driver briefing here this evening. Yeah, look, that is a point to add as well. It's clear I haven't read the driver briefing either, because the tank limit has now been increased to 100%. So
I was just reading that. I was reading the driver briefing actually about 5 minutes ago, and noticed that.
Yeah, the thing to watch, as always, the pit lane transits will be a key. Also, the acceleration point for the safety car procedure is just after the exit of the chase, turn 22.
Yes,
which is look a little bit different. Particularly on that run down towards Murray's. If you get the timing right there as the lead car behind a safety car, you could absolutely get a massive jump, and the extra space that you get going into Murray's might be just enough to really allow you to stretch that lead out. And look, every extra tenth you can pick up around this track makes a massive difference in just how much time you've got to think about your moves, because you don't get a lot of time to think here. Conrod Straight, even though it's a really long one, you are under immense pressure the whole way down. You've got to eke every last kilometre an hour out of that car on the way down the hill there, and you have to be watching the rear view and watching what those other drivers are doing. So if you can give yourself an extra tenth or two over the drivers behind you by the time you get to that part of the circuit, it actually allows you to have a really welcome breather.
Yeah, it really does. It's a great opportunity. And look, the acceleration point being the exit of the chase, that actually lines up with what we see in real supercars racing. So I actually applaud the race control for making that the acceleration point, because it actually is a really good opportunity for drivers to gain an advantage. So this is our grid that we have before us for this evening. Jason Benz, Troy Stonestreet sharing the front row of the grid with Luke Allman and Phil Manuel on row number 2. Luke Allman, he needs to throw everything he can at Troy Stonestreet this evening to try and take that championship away from the man who has one hand on the trophy already. Trav Daly, Mark Poynton riding up on row number 3. Probably a season best qualifying there for Trav Daly. Great to see him well inside the top 10 here. Stephen Varga, Jamie McKnight as well back in the top 10. And James Hardy continues his brilliant run as a Trophy Cup class driver this season, qualifying 9th and sharing the 5th row of the grid with Paul Burns. Looking to the outside of the top 10, it's Rick Viger and Brett Horsell, the closest Trophy Cup driver to James Hardy on row number 6. And it's Andrew Hoffman, Abel Verban, Troy Sipple and Brad Hayes, 15th and 16th. Ernie Toth, Andrew Listener, row number 9. Scott Perrins and Ash Hall on row number 10, rounding out our top 20. A little bit further afield is Craig Rose in 21st, the last driver to set a time in qualifying. Then it's Brian Borg and Daniel Yeaman. Will we see them in this race? We'll have to wait and see. They were in the session earlier on. Can confirm that Daniel Yeaman has made his way to the grid, so will feature in the race this evening. Tim Nicol and Todd Martin, both in race control this evening, doing a wonderful job as always, and I'm sure we will see that safety car of Tim Nicol at some point this evening, who I believe, Jared Cole, was causing issues for some of the drivers on track earlier tonight.
Well, look, we know that the safety car boys like to get out and have a bit of a stretch of the legs during the practice sessions, and we did see that, Tim Nicol, that collision with Stephen Varga from Quantum Racing, just quietly. We did catch that one on this end. I may or may not save a clip of that for later. We'll see how I'm feeling after the season wraps up here tonight. We are less than a minute away from a start here at Bathurst. Let's head on down to the grid and get ready to go racing. 40 laps lie ahead. Look, it's not the longest race you'll ever see here at Bathurst, but for these guys, it certainly is going to feel like plenty. They will be putting in some effort here tonight to get this all together. Big hello to everybody out there in the chat. I see some familiar names dropping back in, and why wouldn't you be here for this tonight? Final round of the season. It's been a massive one. As always, a huge thanks to Solagard St. Cobain, to Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, Chubby Buns Burgers, Nicol Photography, and of course 24/7 Sim Services for what has been a huge season once again here with Alliance Sim Racing. This is where it all comes to a head tonight, though. Let's see what lies in store. Can Luke Allman snatch away a victory in the final race of the season from Troy Stone Street, or does Stone Street have what it takes to defend this all the way to the end of the season? We are moments away. We have the green flag at the back of the field. The lights are up. We're under starters orders. We're calling a three safety car minimum here tonight in the chat, and I don't doubt it at all. We are away at Bathurst for lap 1 of 40. Jason Bentz leads us away from Troy Stone Street as we head on down for the first time towards Hell Corner and start the run up Mountain Straight. Can we make it through here in one piece? It looks relatively clean. We've had a few changes of position, but look at Brian Borg shooting up through the field already, as is Daniel Yeaman. They're not waiting around for anything. They want to get to the front end as quickly as possible. Bentz maintains the lead towards Griffin's Bend for the first time. Stone Street, Orman, Manuel and Daly in hot pursuit with Mark Point and Stephen Varga not far behind. James Hardy just swapping positions there with Jamie McKnight as they go side by side through Griffin's Bend up towards the cutting for the first time. All very orderly, very tidy, and the drivers clearly thinking about the long game here tonight. 40 laps is a long way, and Bathurst will absolutely devastate you if you don't take it easy on cold tyres this first lap out. Isaac, this is the sort of start that all of these drivers would have wanted. Nice and consistent, good pace, but nothing silly.
Nothing silly at all. Very clean. The top 7 where they started in this race, so no one going for an absolute move just yet. They're patient, building themselves into this race. The only cars that have changed positions inside that top 10 are James Hardy and Jamie McKnight in 8th and 9th. Everyone else around them had stayed where they started, including Rick Varga and Brett Horsell in 11th and 12th. So only 2 of those top 12 cars have traded places off the start here. But Brian Borg, Daniel Yeaman, they are not messing around. They are 5 spots respectively, 17th and 18th at the start of this race, putting pressure on Andrew Listener already. Across the top's not probably a place you're going to gain too many spots. You just have to stay close to the car behind, have a bit of patience. You'll get onto Conrod Straight here, be in the slipstream, and then go for a move by the time you get to the chase. If you're ahead by the time you get to the kink just here, that is absolutely awesome. But otherwise, you're going to have to be brave and to send it up the inside or around the outside even on some occasions when we get to the heavy braking zone that is the chase at turn 22. Into the final corner now, and that is lap 1 complete. So we are 1 lap down of 40 Jared Cole, and that is absolutely flown by. Jason Bentz in control of this field though, almost a second back to Troy Stone Street. Luke Allman trying to stay with Troy Stone Street, but also losing touch. Our closest battle on track at the moment, Poynton, Varga and Hardy line astern, and it looks like Poynton's trying to set himself up for a move as they run up the hill on Trav Daly.
Yeah, look, those two are right in behind each other there, but have a look at Stephen Varga. I don't know if you caught him there, but he was deep under brakes on the way into to Hell Corner. Gained a good 10th or 2 in doing that. Brian Borg, here he comes up the inside towards Griffin's Bend, gets past Andrew Listener, and now has Ernie Toth in his sights, already up to 16th place after starting in 22nd. And right there with him, Dan Yeaman just behind Listener at the moment. He'll just be biding his time, waiting for the next passing opportunity. These guys absolutely monstering this field right now. I'm still stunned that we've had such a clean start here tonight, and I don't know what was said in the driver briefing in the race radio before the big event here tonight, but I suspect there might have been a few stern words judging by this. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Brian Borg almost going for a move at one of the most unlikely spots there as Ernie Toth gets a little bit loose up ahead. They come down over the top of Skyline, and Borg is just going to have to sit in and wait. He'll be waiting, just counting down the meters until he gets onto Conrod and has another crack at this. Dan Yeaman not too far behind either. Further up, Trav Daly, Mark Point, and Stephen Varga, James Hardy, all still close together. Point now looking for the opportunity as we come down Conrod Straight, and let's jump on board and watch the kilometres an hour climb here. 270, when he gets 290 in behind Trav Daly, I reckon he'll get there no problem at all. as they make their way through the kink. There it is, 292k now. Now on the brakes, Daly's already defending on lap 2. So he's seeing the pressure immediately from Mark Poynton all over the back of him as they ride up and over the curb. Trav Daly getting just a little bit loose, and Poynton taking full advantage, closes that gap even further as he looks down the outside of Murray's. He's going to try and set up for a run towards Hell Corner. It's a hard one to get out of. Daly's done a great job parking it on the apex there. I don't know that Poynton will agree with me though.
No, you'll feel maybe a little bit hard done by there, but it's all good. All's fair in racing until someone gets taken out and then everybody's in tears. It's the same with fighting, isn't it? Everyone, it's all fun and games till somebody gets hurt. So that's what it is at the moment. Trav Daly will play on. Mark Poynton will have to continue to try and find a way past. And this is what we were talking about, the patience you need here. You saw Brian Borg searching and searching for a way past Ernie Toth across top. He's continuing to do so now. Will he go to the inside as they run up towards Griffin's Bend? He absolutely will. They're going to be side by side through 2. And that is a position gain for Brian Borg. And he was trying to force that move across the top, searching and searching for a way past as they ran towards Skyline. You just have to be patient. Yes, the car in front of you is not as fast as you would like them to be. You feel like you're losing touch with the cars in front, and Dan Yeaman now going to find himself in a very similar situation. But you do not want to jeopardize your position in this race by going for a move and finding yourself in the wall, because you have to go the long way around. Ernie Toth is not going to move off his line. He is entitled to be where he is. He's certainly not going to pull over and just wave everybody on through. So you need to be patient in the moves that you make here and not do anything silly to jeopardize your car's condition, or indeed put yourself in the wall, especially coming down the hill here. So patience is the name of the game. You're going to lose ground to the car in front if the car that you're trying to overtake is not as fast as you want them to be. And certainly in this situation for Borg and Yeaman, taking nothing away from the pace that Ernie Toth has, but he's certainly not as quick as these two at the moment, given the rate of knots they have closed him in. And for Yeaman, he will be frustrated that he's losing touch, but you just got to have faith that as the race goes on, it will come back to you. We're looking at James Hardy now, who is defending from McKnight. These two went at it early on. Again, the only 2 cars inside the top 10 that have swapped positions. Up the inside now for Dan Yeaman, gets that move done into the chase, and that is a textbook move, folks. It does not get more out of a how to overtake at Bathurst guide than what we just saw from Dan Yeaman under the brakes into the chase. And here we go, another one from Andrew Lister, sets up Ernie Toth into the final corner. Was a little bit squirrely under brakes there, had it on the wobble. They will continue to be side by side, but I think Ernie Toth might actually have this, and Lister's not going to be deep enough on the brakes in the 1 to get the overlap, and is actually going to leave him vulnerable to Brad Hayes behind.
And for everything you were saying there about patience, did anyone else notice Dan Yeaman have a really, really big think about making a dive into the cutting on Toth last time around? He was not feeling particularly patient there at all. Thankfully, thought better of it at the last minute. There wasn't much in it. Andrew Listener now. Oh, big moment for Ernie Toth as he taps the wall. It's going to put him back a few positions. It hasn't done a huge amount of damage, but it's not looking super clean at the front end of that car anymore. And yeah, look, that'll slow him down. He's going to have to hold off, I think, though. He won't come in to get that repaired. Surely he should be able to just drive it as is, but it's put him all the way back into 21st, and that is how quickly things can turn on you here. And look, up and over the top, incidentally, this group of 5, how's this for a classic supercar battle pack? Trav Daly's still sitting in front, just managing to hold off Mark Poynton. Varga, Hardy and McKnight right there with them. The only 2 drivers to have swapped positions in the front 11 are Hardy and McKnight right now. They're the only ones in that front 11, front 12 with Brett Horsell in 12th at the moment who have actually swapped positions. And that tells you just how difficult it is here at Bathurst to get a pass done under race conditions. So much tonight is going to come down to pit strategy. Will the undercut actually be the way to go, as it so often is in these Gen 3 supercars, or will the safety car potentially turn everything on its head? We've got, well, look, 35 laps and change to see what happens. It's still very, very early in this one, but plenty of people setting themselves up to make those sort of decisions across tonight's race.
And last week at Adelaide, we saw the safety car split that race perfectly into thirds. There was 2 required pit stops, and the safety car came out at just the right time for both of them to really just split the race evenly for most drivers. There was a couple of drivers that pulled the trigger just before the safety car, and no one waited until after the safety car because there was no point. So if you pull the trigger early, it could benefit you with some clean track, but if we do get a similar safety car setup to what we had last week in Adelaide, that could take most of the strategy out of this race, which would be a shame. But the question will be what you do. Has a little bit of figure out of a move now in behind Mark Poynton, trying to get past Trav Daly. He's been working at this for a little while, and as a result, now got Varga, Hardy and McKnight all in this train of cars from 5th place all the way back to the back end of the top 10. They have let go of Paul Burns a little bit. He's 2.5 seconds behind, but he's got a train of cars in Rick Weigart, Brett Horsell, Abel Verben and Brian Borg. So there's a couple little trains forming here. Everyone at the front of the field has started to spread out, Jared. And again, we come back to the word of the day. Isaac's word of the day is patience, especially across the top here. Mark Poynton, he has so much pace across the top of the mountain. We have seen this every single lap so far. He is flying through here, but if he runs out of patience and tries to go for a move in the wrong spot, he will find himself in the wall. So he needs to bide his time. He just needs to set himself up a little bit better off of Forrest Elbow. Not that he's not doing that, but Trav Daly has managed to set himself up pretty well every single time off this corner right here, out of 18 through 19 and down the Conrod Straight. So Mark Poynton just needs to have a little bit of a better run than Trav Daly. How he does that, I don't quite know, because Trav Daly is nailing it each and every single time. But that's the thing. And also, Mark Poynton's getting to the point now where he needs to look backwards a little bit. He's got Stephen Varga about as close to him as he is to Trav Daly. So he's looking forward to try and get this move, but also trying to think about looking backwards. It's a lot to do at the mountain.
It is, and look, not surprised to see this. Poynton's coming in. He's going to make an early stop here. I was just about to say it's probably not a bad time for Poynton to be thinking about looking at the undercut. Once he has a really rough entry into the pits there, because Trav Daly just getting caught up in that battle with Poynton behind. Look at the gap from Daly forward to Phil Manuel. 5.5 seconds or near enough to it between 4th and 5th at the moment. The front runners, Jason Benz, Stone Street, Allman, Manuel, all have quite a bit of space in between them, about a second or more between each of them, and so they're just counting down the laps at this stage. Really, for Poynton, he wants to make sure that he can stay ahead of both Varga and Borg in this battle for the 3rd step on the championship podium. Varga's come in at the same time. Borg has continued on. We're going to have to watch that battle really, really closely. At the moment, Troy Stone Street on your screen right now is in absolute prime position to hang on to his championship lead and take the title here for season 8.
Look at the pits. Varga and Hardy have both got Poynton here. Poynton was held for an extra 4 seconds longer than Varga, 2 seconds longer than Hardy, and that has cost Poynton valuable track position. Sorry to jump in over the top of you there, Jared, but I just noticed that out of the corner of my eye on my numbers, and I thought that is very peculiar, because Mark Poynton would have done that to try and get the undercut on Trav Daly, but as a result he's actually lost. Well, he's gained the spot back on Hardy now, but he's lost a spot and is some 3 seconds behind Stephen Varga.
The thing to keep in mind though, of course, 2 compulsory pit stops. I reckon there's a fair chance that Poynton has taken on as much fuel as he possibly can in that one, has taken on maybe just an extra couple of seconds. Look, it might not be much, 2.5 seconds of extra fuel equates to something like, I think, about 6 litres, the difference. But it might just get him an extra lap here or there, and if that makes a difference later on in terms of less fuel to take on, that could gain him much more than he spent there. So it's a tactical play. Realistically, the gap at the moment to Stephen Varga, as long as he doesn't take point by more than 1 position, it should be pretty close. It might even actually end up as a draw, as we see Brian Borg pick up another spot over Brett Horsell. It might even end up drawn on points, and I don't quite know how the countback works then, if that is the case. I'll leave that to the league admins to figure out though.
Not our headache, that's for sure.
No, absolutely
someone else's headache. That is absolutely someone else's headache, and we will leave that to them to sort out. As these pit stops start to take hold, everyone's starting to be a little bit spread out. Brett Horsell and this is Andrew Hoffman and Brad Hayes.
Or big moment in the background.
Another massive moment for Hayes. And all that ground he worked so hard to make up, he's actually ended up losing ever so slightly, and will have to work hard to regain that. I'm sure he's dropped off so much. He's actually They've decided he's no longer part of this little battle box. But Daniel Yeaman putting pressure on Rick Vigar. This is for 11th place on the road. There is a couple of cars, mind you, that have come into the lane, starting with Stephen Varga down in 19th place, that have served their first pit stop. But Brian Borg has disappeared up the road. He has gained 14 places so far in this race. Daniel Yeaman up 11 spots, looking to get to 12 if he can get past Rick Vigar. But then it's a little bit of a gap, about a second and a half up the road to Abel Verban. So he would have to clear Rick Vigar and then push on. He has got the pace in this car, though. He's lapping very, very quickly when he's in clean air. Daniel Yeaman in the 207s. Rick Vigar and Abel Verban only in the 208s. So there is a significant speed difference for Yeaman, but he won't want to spend too much time behind these guys because he does know he has a lot of work to do to make up positions if he wants a solid top 10 finish tonight.
Plenty of time still left to do it, though. 8 laps in. It's still anybody's race at this stage. Jason Ben's out in front, putting in some absolutely cracking times, lap after lap after lap. And gee, if he could have had this form earlier in the season, what could have been for this championship for him? But you know what? He's got to be happy with the run of form. Look at Brian Borg, massive dive up the inside into Hill Corner. That's how you get it done at Bathurst. He'll give himself some clear air for the run up Mountain Straight, and Paul Burns will now turn his attention to Brett Horsell, who's managed to tuck in right behind on the exit, and I reckon we'll probably be looking for a go up at Griffins if he can just pull it back an extra tenth here. Already you can see Burns starting to defend, just takes the middle of the road, makes the decision very, very difficult for Brett Horsell. Abel Verban now starting to sneak in the background as well.
Yeah, Abel Verban is just really, again, flying under the radar. He does that in a number of races throughout the season. He just sort of pops up just by being him and consistent, having plenty of speed, and just shows up and is constantly in battles and in the equation, which is excellent to see. And this battle we're seeing with, at the moment, Horsell and Burns, with Borg now clear, Verban is also a key part of this. Now remember, Burns was the back end of the top 10 before these pit stops started playing out. So Brian Borg is now effectively the back end of the top 10. These guys are battling for spots just outside the top 10, but if pace goes their way and strategy goes their way, this could be a top 10 spot that they're all battling for here. Now, you don't want to get too elbows out at this stage. If someone has more pace than you, it might just be smart not to pull over to the side and let them go, but don't fight them too hard. Try and let them through, go with them, save a little bit of fuel, a little bit of tyres. That could help you in the pit stop later on. And when you get to the last stint of this race, that's really when it becomes a bit of a sprint and you just start to push car as hard as possible. At the moment, it's about conservation. It's about making sure you look after every single part of this car and you just get yourself into that last stint. Here goes Daniel Yeaman up the inside into the chase, in through 20, into the braking zone at 21. That's already done before they even get there, and that's what we talked about. Oh, off the road. Yeaman, there you go. So he's gone a little bit hot into the chase, got a little bit wrong at 21 in the braking zone and sent it very, very hot into 21. As a result, finds himself off the road. Doesn't hand the position back, and I feel like that's probably play on because he already had the position before they got to the braking zone. He was already ahead. Whether the braking contributed to that, I'm not quite sure, but I feel like that probably is play on. We'll have to wait and see what the stewards say, but it looks okay from my end. But again, that's also easy to do, Jared Cole. Just getting a little bit too wrong, sending it a little bit too hot into the chase. Easy to do.
Yeah, it absolutely is. More to the point, I am stunned that he didn't end up with a pretty hefty slowdown for that one. He was a long way off the circuit, but definitely did come out with a bit of advantage there. Maybe a bit of an anomaly. I don't know that I'd be willing to try it again if I was in Yeaman's shoes to try and get away with it a second time. If not for the slowdown, if not for that, then perhaps just for the risk of going into that outside wall. You can see, look, he's pushing really, really hard at the moment. Just absolutely going wall to wall here up over the top of the mountain, and it's what you've got to do, but it doesn't make it any less scary. Have a look at it though, throwing that car around. He desperately wants to catch up to Brian Borg, who finds himself up in 5th place at the moment, up 17 positions. Dan Yeaman up 14. Massive moves through the field for both of them, helped along of course by a few pit stops that have already happened. The front runner of those who have pitted so far, Stephen Varga, still maintaining that in 16th. He's at the head of the group of cars that have made their first pit stop here tonight.
Yes, he is in a very strong position. Mark Poynton is about a second and a half behind him, so he's actually made inroads since that pit stop when he was in there for a little bit longer. So this is actually good for, he's about a second and a half behind Phil Manuel. He's probably about 2.5 seconds behind Stephen Varga. He's about 3.5 at that pit stop. So he is gaining a little bit. Troy Stone Street, Luke Orman, the first of the top three to come into the lane. So we are starting to see more pit stops from the front of the field now, which indicates that a short stint here, maybe a long stint in the middle, Jared, just to push the full tank of fuel and try and run as long as you can, and then a short stint towards the end potentially. What this does though, stopping early, Jared, is really it's dangerous. If we get a safety car sort of halfway into this race, you really need to think about, do you stop now and try and run to the ends on that set of tyres, or do you stick to your strategy of running long in the middle? That's going to be probably a tough call to make.
Look at the difference in stop time here. Orman not worried about trying to get past Stone Street. He's taking a whole lot longer, taking on a lot more fuel on this stop. Stone Street was only in for 16 seconds. Orman in for 30.5. That's a significant difference in strategy, and we will see that one play out in the opposite direction on their second stop. I have no doubt. Luke Orman's got a real task ahead of him, though. It's such a tough thing to remember for 30 laps at Bathurst that you've actually taken that much extra time in that first pit stop, and you don't have to pull back quite as much as you might think. Phil Manuel and Stephen Varga, meanwhile, still battling it out here. Manuel has a big look up inside, locks it up, puts it into Varga. Varga's going to go into the wall. That's a horrible, horrible braking error there from Phil Manuel, and really out of character. But if it's ever going to happen, it's going to be into Griffin's there. He will be, no doubt, on the radio, or at least in his head, apologising to Varga for that one. And lucky to not do more damage, but Stephen Varga is absolutely going to be suffering from that hit. And he's already been in for the first stop, so he's going to have to just ride it out for a while.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Again, stopping really early in this race now. If you stop again, you either have to commit to doing a 3-stop, or you have to go to the end from where you do stop. So if he's carrying damage here, that's a decision he now has to think about. How long can he run a stint in this race? Mark Poynton is all over the back of him. This has been an absolute free kick for Mark Poynton. Trav Daly and Jason Bentz into the pit lane now, so they're serving their first stops. Brian Borg also diving in for his stop, but that was a huge hit for Stephen Varga. Both drivers need to just take a little bit of time to regain themselves, reset. It doesn't look to be a huge amount of damage cosmetically on the front or any part of that Quantum Racing Chevy Camaro, but there certainly could be under the surface. There could be steering damage. There could be a little bit of aero damage to that car. Only time will tell as the laps push on. He seems okay for now, as does Phil Manuel. He seems all right for the time being, but we will keep a very, very close eye on both of these cars. It turned in okay there, and looking on the onboard footage here, there's not really any sign of a bent steering. The wheel is very straight, maybe even just slightly left-hand down, but that could also be the way that the wheel is aligned on iRacing here for Stephen Varga, so I probably wouldn't read too much into that, folks. I would say he's okay, he's in the clear for now. He might just be a little bit thrown off by that and a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, look, I think if we're talking about scale of incidents, that's about the best possible outcome he could have hoped for there, and he must have hit that tyre barrier at exactly the 90 degrees it needed to be. As we see the incident come through, and Phil Manuel will cop himself a 5-second penalty for that braking incident, and no great surprise there at all. Look at this side-by-side, Jay McKnight and Dan Yeaman. This is for P10. Yeaman pulls out of it, not wanting to risk his position just at the moment. Andrew Listener, Abel Verban, Andrew Hoffman all right in behind, as is Rick Varga and Brett Horsell. So this is what starts to happen as all of those first pit stops play out. All of a sudden, these groups form back up, and we've got, well, almost a 10-car battle at this point. Scotty Perrins and Brad Hayes, if they could just get a move on and join the back of this queue, we'd have a nice little train going on through half the field. As it stands, though, some very, very close battles in there. Brian Borg all over the back of Troy Sipple again back here. The number 17 car of Sipple in P17 at the moment. But Brian Borg looking to steal that one away. The only question is, where's he going to make the move? Surely not over the top of Skyline, but I wouldn't put it past him at this point. He's been so aggressively carving through the field all night again tonight, and I expect that expect that'll probably continue as a guess.
It will, and I'm peculiar about, here goes Jason Bentz on his way past Trav Daly. So Trav Daly's actually ended up on the podium. Jason Bentz was in that lane for a long time. 45 seconds he was stopped in the pit bay. And I also just saw the same thing for Brian Hawke. 47 seconds he was stopped in that pit lane. So I get the sense, Jared Cole, that the median pit stop time here is about 30 seconds. That's probably the mid-range. 16 seconds is a short pit stop. You're taking a quarter, and then the longer pit stop is 45 seconds. So those that took a 45-second stop, as Brian Borg does finally find his way past. What's all happening here? What is going on, folks?
Dan Yeaman's run off the track
absolutely
again,
everywhere. Dan Yeaman's gone off the track. It's caused absolute pandemonium at the front of the field. Andrew Liston, Jamie McKnight, and then Abel Verban also a part of this in the background, as well as Andrew Hoffman. There are cars side by side. McKnight, he's struggling in a straight line there.
No, he's given that position back to Yeaman.
So maybe contact between himself and Yeaman.
Yeah, look, I think that's happened with the pass. We'll go back and we'll take a look at that. The Chubby Buns Burgers replay. Let's see what we can see here. This is much further back. This is where they were side by side earlier on. We'll take a look at the off track from McKnight that happened down. Just gets a little bit loose on the way through the chase. Heavy under brakes and slides it sideways. Finds himself off track. Is there a bit of contact here as he rejoins with Yeaman? Oh, there is there. So that's why he's given the position back. Just dripped up at the wrong moment. You can see there that Listener just sneaks through, and then credit to him, Jay McKnight. Look, a lot of drivers might have taken the risk on that. You see the flash of the brake lights to let Yeaman past. That is true gentlemanly racing, and I would expect no less from Jay McKnight. Great to see.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant to see that from McKnight. Let's the Logitech Geo DBM car go back past, and brilliant gentlemanly move to redress that position. Speaking of incidents that have happened, the race control pretty quick on this as well. A 5-second time penalty for Phil Manuel for that contact that we saw with Stephen Varga on lap number 10. So only 5 seconds awarded, but it is still a penalty nonetheless, and they were very, very quick on that. I believe that penalty came through on lap 11, so not a lot of time spent deliberating on that. They already, I think it was pretty clear cut what exactly happened and who was at fault for that one, so they've decided that he'll get a whack on the wrist. Phil Manuel, Paul Burns, that front bar missing for Phil Manuel. He's trying to push on and continue, but that car will be suffering, especially around here with no front bar.
I'm trying to pick where that's happened, and I honestly can't actually. I can't see an incident for Paul Burns. Anyway, sorry, Phil Manuel carrying the damage. I'm not entirely certain where that's gone wrong for him. It must have been just a little bit further back with some contact with. I don't know where he's picked that up. It might be this one. We'll go back and take a look, see if we can find it on the Chubby Buns replay. Tucked in behind Stephen Varga here. Is this where he's lost the front bar? Has he been carrying it since then?
Look at the double locker.
Did we just not notice it? It may have just fallen off further around the track.
It may have.
It's only just barely hanging on there. You can see it's been belted pretty hard. So it's obviously had a slight further touch at some point, and it has ejected itself from the front of that supercar. And yeah, look, that will make braking particularly a little bit sketchy as he hits the wall, going over that very, very famous drain cover there. That's a tough spot to be. Let's take a look at the standings so far. Everyone's come in for their first of 2 compulsory pit stops. So the order we have on track is pretty indicative of what has happened so far. But there's been a huge variety in terms of pit stop times, as we see Brian Borg continuing to try and fight his way through this fairly sizable pack that he finds himself caught in. Dan Yeaman, the very, very well-timed pit stop for him finds him up 13 places right now. So he's really managing to pull away a little bit faster, where it was prior to pit stops going the way of Brian Borg instead. You can see him just on the back end of this group here, led by Jamie McKnight, Abel Verban, Andrew Hoffman in there as well. But the real talking point for us here tonight so far is the difference in time spent in the pits, and this is how it looks for you folks on your screen now. are the amounts, the number of seconds spent in the pit bay by each of those drivers, and a huge amount of variance. A lot of drivers around that 30-second mark, but at the top end, Troy Stone Street, just over 16 seconds. Then you've got Brian Borg, who spent 47.3 seconds in the bay, taking on what we can only assume is a massive amount of fuel to try and really run a very, very fast stop for his second one.
Yeah, he is definitely committing to run long in this middle stint, which could be upset if we do get a safety car. So that's what we were talking about earlier, Jared, is pitting early is all well and good to run long in the middle. The drivers that won't be running long in the middle, most likely at this stage, are someone like Troy Stone Street, who was only in the bay for 16 seconds, so very, very short stop. I think Brian Borg will be a little bit frustrated. He's in 14th place, doesn't quite have the track position. Jason Bence is not at the front of this field like he has been for most of this evening, but he has got 15 seconds of fuel over Luke Orman and 30 seconds of fuel over Troy Stone Street. So there is a fair gap in that. He is 27 seconds behind Troy Stone Street, so at the moment he will come out in front. He does need to push on though. He's lapping about the same actually as Troy Stone Street at the moment. Luke Orman's slightly slower than both of them. He will need to get a move on. But I think it's very, very likely that we could see these drivers converge towards the end of this race based on strategy.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one that plays out here over the second half of this race, which we're rapidly approaching, 15 laps down. And most surprising to me is the lack of safety car so far. And I know that now I've said it, I'm going to be blamed for one that happens in the next two laps. And that's totally fair. I absolutely accept that.
And you'll have ruined the strategy of Jason Bence and Brian Borg.
Well, I don't know. I think Brian Borg's strategy here, as we see him take another position, is just to push on regardless and absolutely chew through this field. It looks like Phil Manuel coming in for a second stop. Now, that is a massive undercut attempt, and I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Keep your eye on Manuel, though. He was in the bay for 35 seconds last time around. I'll be really interested to see how long he spends in there this time, given that he's probably looking at making it to the end from here. Either that or he's decided to come in just to clear that damage that's slowing him down too much and to get back out there as quickly as he can. Let's have a look and see just how long he does spend in the bay there as he sits in the pit. Look, will it be a quick stop here for Manuel or not? This will be really telling. It will give us a feel for what we can expect from some of the other drivers when he does come back out. The only downside for Manuel here would be is if he's gone in for repairs and he's forgotten to tick his fast repair. That would be devastating. There we go, 29 seconds.
Yep.
So he's basically split that in half, a 35-ish second and a 30-second stop. That is pretty consistent. A bit of chat going on in the YouTube chat. Where else? Around the setup and asking what's actually been done here, and can confirm. Andrew Rushworth just letting us know there, of course, that the setups for this series all provided by Jamie McKnight for each round. It is a fixed setup, so all of these drivers on the same chassis arrangements to make this as driver focused as possible in terms of the results. If there is anything in particular you're curious to know about in terms of settings, I can probably pull a couple of stats here in the background. I'm not a setup wizard like McKnight and others, so I don't know that I can necessarily tell you exactly what it is that's making the rear end on these so friendly around here tonight. But if there's particular settings you'd be interested to know about, I'll see what I can pull up for you. Just let me know.
Yeah, look, and the setups that we have here at ASR are, they definitely split opinion on occasion, but they are, for the most part, certainly very good setups. The same setups that are run by V8 Vets and a number of series that mirror the V8 Vets calendar. This is obviously as a standalone league, but it does serve as a way for a number of drivers to get some practice in for that V8 Vets series. So they run the same setup that the V8 Vets do, and as a result of pretty much the exact same calendar that the V8 Vets do as well, albeit with some maybe slightly different formats to spice up the racing a little bit for these guys that do come along on a Tuesday night, and for you at home as well. Looking at the calendar for next season as well, I saw a draft today. It looks very, very interesting, very Australian-focused calendar for next season, which is exciting. Going to be showcasing a lot of Australian circuits that are on iRacing. And look, there's not. You feel like at times, Jared, oh, we've got a car backwards. We'll come back to that. That is Craig Rose in the wall. That is running down the hill. So that's just after 14, 15 complex, coming into 16, 17, and now turn 18 at the Forest Elbow here. That is a very, very peculiar place to have that car parked in backwards.
I thought we were going to get our first safety car for the night, but he's managed to get it rolling again. This is what has happened to Craig Rose, the Chubby Buns Burgers replay. Through the dip, a little bit of a lock-up, gets the power on, just clips that inside curb, and around she goes.
Very easy to do. It's, he won't be the first one to do it there, and he's certainly not the last one to do it there, that's for sure. And again, he's got that car turned around, that one continues rolling. So thankfully, Jared, you haven't jinxed everyone just yet, and we do continue to go safety car free. You did do your best. You did your best. I think Matty Morgan was hoping that we were going to safety car up the inside once again for Brian Borg, this time on Andrew Lister. Grabs another spot, and he's back inside the top 10, which is brilliant to see for Brian Borg. He's cutting his way through this field at the moment. He has got so much pace. He's doing 206s, 207s, I should say. Everyone else around him is doing 208s. He's about to cross the line. Get an update. He's done a 207.7. The car in front's done a 208.1. That's Daniel Yeaman. But the car behind Andrew Liston did a 209.6. So he has so much pace in that car right now. He is pushing on as much as possible to maximise his result here. Wants to catch back up. He has actually caught back up to Daniel Yeaman. So it is 12 places for Brian Borg, 14 places so far in this race for Daniel Yeaman. They are the two biggest movers at the moment. Everyone in the top 10 sort of stalemate.
It's really kind of you to say that Borg's caught Yeaman when there's still almost 3 seconds between them, though, to be fair. They're next to each other on the timing tower. Yeah, next to them on
exactly.
the timing tower. But Phil Manuel back into the pits. So he's coming in for a third time. That is, look, there's no real coming back from that, even if it's just a quick in and out to get some damage repaired. That's going to completely destroy his attempted undercut. And that is devastating for Phil Manuel. I'm not quite sure what's happened, but it looks as though he didn't actually get the repair work done last time around. This will be a quick stop in and out. You would have to think, although it does look like he's starting to just top up a little bit of extra fuel here. So taking a bit of time. Troy Stone Street, meanwhile, in for his second stop. Question is, what's Luke Orman's strategy from here? We know that Stone Street spent about half the time in the bay that Orman did. So, look, based on what we've seen so far, you'd have to think that Stone Street's in for probably a 45-second stop in the bay here.
Yes. I would say he'll be on a similar stop length to what Jason Bentz did originally in stop number 1. So there goes Phil Manuel back out on the circuit behind his teammate, albeit. But yeah, Troy Stone Street, he did underfuel in that first stop, only about 15, 16 seconds in the bay. So he has to spend a lot longer here than those around him, like this man and like the man in second place, Jason Benson. It's great once again to see this onboard cam, the sim shot, down the bottom of your screen for Luke Orman. I'm going to miss this next season, that's absolutely for certain, because it's great to just get an insight into how he works. He's got the hat on, he's very, very focused as always. Got the racing gloves, the full monitor display, and it's great to always get an insight into the cockpit for Luke Orman and just how hard he is working and how focused he is. And watch the hands across the top of the hill here as well. Look at just the little minor corrections. It's not massive, but there is little minor adjustments as he battles with the undulation and the bounces of the road across the top here. And then watch the wheel work as he runs down through Skyline here. Turns the car left and right. A little bit of correction just to get it turned in the first stage of the dipper, through the dipper now, and then on the run down towards Forest Elbow, through just very, very close to the wall at 17 there, and now into 18. He is going to get as close as he can to the wall on the outside, and he's running these like qualifying laps and pushing this car as hard as he can. He is very focused in the cockpit.
Yeah, that's what it takes to get up and over the top of Bathurst, of Mount Panorama, and it is it's a tough drive. It really is. There are plenty of people out there who've seen my attempts at racing around Bathurst. It ended with a GTE Porsche upside down over the crest of the skyline, and look, that is what it is. But for a Gen 3 supercar, it's an absolute monster on a circuit. It really is. I don't think people often realise, if you're not familiar with Bathurst, I think people realise just how difficult it is. Because it is a street circuit. You can, between race events here, you can go out, you can drive this, albeit at 60k an hour.
I have.
And you see stories of plenty of people being done at much higher speeds than that, because it's it's hard to resist, right? It's Bathurst. It's got that appeal. I can't imagine that I'd do too well getting around there at 60.
Look, thankfully my Mazda BT50 doesn't like going above 60, especially going across the top, so I was pretty safe when I did my laps around here. But coming down Conrod Straight, there is that very innate feeling that you just want to absolutely floor it and go for it, but you sort of have to fight your urges, because you know at the end of Conrod, pretty much every time guaranteed is going to be a little police officer with his radar gun waiting to just catch anyone that's decided that they want to be or do their best V8 supercar impression. So it is a magical place to drive around. Even walking around this track, it doesn't look at it is steep, and you can tell on the cameras and on video that it is quite steep, but you don't quite understand how steep until you are at this place. Let me tell you, walking around this circuit is an absolute leg workout, not because of the distance, but because of the elevation change, Jared. There is so much hill climbing you have to do to go up, and then you get to the top and you go, I now have to go back down again. You think going down is the easiest part. It's not. It is so steep going down. You are very, very careful not to fall over and make an absolute fool of yourself, because this place has so much elevation change in such a short amount of time. It is very, very magical, and in a supercar, I can only imagine just how cool it would feel going around this circuit. Look, iRacing have done a very, very good job, as have a number of racing games, of emulating that feeling in iRacing, but I don't think anything is quite like driving around this place in real life. It is just magical.
Yeah, look, absolutely. It's the best natural roller coaster you'll find anywhere, I reckon. Just the topology of this place. Maddie, I am keeping a close eye on chat. Thank you very much. I was just waiting for the appropriate moment to acknowledge it, and we haven't forgotten about you down there. A couple of various medical issues and surgeries coming up for a couple of our regular viewers. So, to both yourself and to Rushworth himself for what's coming ahead of you, boys. If there's anything that we can do here at Simple, just let us know. We'll try and keep you amused and entertained while you're recovering from your various bits and pieces going on, hey? And best wishes and best of luck for what's ahead. I'm sure you'll smash it.
Yeah, keeping those boys in our thoughts. Andrew Rushworth, obviously, as you just said in the chat, not able to make Vets or ASR next season, but hopefully we'll see him back very soon. I did make a note earlier, and again was waiting just for the right time to bring it up, but Matty Morgan making the comment that he has beaten the Big C, so that is excellent news, Matty Morgan. Absolutely wonderful, and glad to see that things are on the up and up for you, and hopefully for everyone out there, you are doing well and looking after yourself. And that's the thing. If there's anything we can ever do for you to keep you there needs a chat. Do not
all the time for your mic to drop out.
Perfect. Nailed it. Welcome to no, but if anyone out there needs a chat or anything, never be afraid to reach out either. We're all very, very friendly, and everyone's here to look out for each other.
I'm not friendly at all. I can't have that.
We're one big family. The sim racing community is one big family, and we all look after each other. So, thinking of you boys, and making sure you're all looking. Make sure you all look after yourselves. But glad that you're taking the time during your recoveries and through everything you're going through to tune in, and hopefully we're adding a little bit of brightness to your day with the racing and the coverage we're providing here this evening.
And in case there was any lingering doubt at all that we do keep an eye on the chat as we go, Matty Morgan, you say pissing yourself laughing. I tend to think that you probably actually are, because I doubt you've gotten up to go and relieve yourself from earlier in the show here tonight. Yeah, I did see your lack of preparation for tonight's event. Oh, there's contact. Sipp.
Oh, no.
A little bit of contact from Brad Hayes there. Hayes will continue on. Sips will get moving again. I would absolutely expect a 5-second penalty heading Brad Hayes' way. Sips takes it as the reason to come in to make a stop, and I think that's probably not a bad time for it. But
No, he's done that well.
yeah, Brad Hayes probably just waiting for the update from race control, and we'll no doubt see that soon. Can I just point out, Luke Orman, in being able to just continue running, look at the gap that he's opened up here. Jason Bent's almost 10 seconds behind at this point. They're all, though, oh no, Troy Sipple, black flag.
Oh,
He's been done speeding on entry. That's going to be a 40-second stop and hold.
He is going to sit there for a long time. That will be a killer for Troy Sipple. That is going to, unless we get a safety car, that is going to probably take him out of this race completely for any result that he was hoping for this evening. Watch this, folks, as he runs all the way into pit lane across the, and this is again, it's just an easy place to do it. You have to accelerate before you get to the pit lane, so you have to nail the time where you do brake, and just a little bit of overspeeding there. That will be a very long hold. He's already been there for about 50 seconds, so depending on how much fuel is going in that car, he will sit there for well over a minute, possibly into a minute 20 by the time all the fuel goes in.
I know Sips has been known here and there to make decisions about whether he continues in a race for the evening or if he packs it in and goes to get himself an ice cream. It looks like he's decided this time he wants to carry on, and why wouldn't you? Last race of the season. As much as he loves his ice cream, that one can wait for another 20-odd laps. He's on his way out of the pit exit, but a minute 10 in the bay. Stop and hold is rough. Always rough, and Bathurst is one of those tracks where it's so easy to do. Look at that, Hayes up over the curb, Stone Street, keeps the pace up and just gets done on the brakes. That little bounce over the curb, just enough to upset the 266 Sim Racing entry, and that has cost him another spot there. Yeah, the limiter here, have a look at the slide from Stone Street. If you're wondering how hard he's pushing it, folks, he is just absolutely on it at the moment, trying to make his way back up through the field. He's made his 2 stops. However, Stone Street made his second stop on lap 17. Those tyres have got to last a long time, and he is certainly not doing them any favours right now.
No, not with that power slide. He is really, those rear tyres are going to be complaining like crazy if we get to the back end of this race, and he's still on the same set of tyres. So I have to wait and see what happens here. Keep a close eye on that. Jasmine in the chat saying maybe Troy could go for a sipple at Robbo's if he's feeling maybe a little bit over it, but he seems to have pushed on for now and continuing. This is very, very close stuff between these guys. This is the back end of the top 10, sort of starting with Andrew Lissner in 10th place, and then all the way down for Jamie McKnight, Rick Vigard, Brett Horsell in 15th. He's a part of this as well. So this is a nice group of cars. About 6 cars battling away for the last spot in the top 10. And given that the front of the field at this stage is quite spread out, and here we go, a 5-second penalty for car 10 for an incident on lap 20. That's with car 17. So that's
Sips and Brad Hayes.
Sips and Brad Hayes.
No
So there you go. That
surprises.
is no, not at all. So that's the contact that then led Sips to go into the pit lane, which then caused the overspeed, which Simon Hayes is saying looks like he forgot to engage his pit limiter, which is very, very awkward indeed.
Yeah, but look, it happens. Look at the pace as they come past the camera. That really gives you the feel for just how fast they're going through that corner. It's a great shot as they whip past it, just on 285, 290k an hour before getting on the brakes. Brett Horsell has been stuck here behind Rick Vigar for what must feel like absolutely forever for him at the moment. Just can't quite seem to find his way past as they battle on for, oh look, just a little below the midway point in the standings. Brett Horsell, of course, is currently leading the Cup Trophy, but at the moment, James Hardy sitting up in 6th place. He'll snatch that lead back here tonight if this continues. And at this stage, Horsel's got a lot of work to do if he wants to hold on to that top spot. There are only 9 points in it coming into tonight's round. It's one spot the difference, really, that would need to be there for Horsel to hang on to it. And right now, it's more like 10 spots, give or take, to James Hardy, who's sitting up in 6th. So it's not looking promising for Horsel to take the Cup trophy tonight. It is great news for James Hardy if he can hold on for what remains of this race, but there's a long way to go. It's Bathurst after all. Plenty can happen from here.
Yep, there is a long way to go. Well, it doesn't look like physically there's a long way to go. We are over halfway through this race, but given the nature of the circuit and how long the lap is and just how quickly things can change, there is a long way to go in this race. It is far from over. Even with 10 laps to go, there is a long way to go in this race. Yeaman and Borg found their way back to each other physically now. They were line astern on the timing boards for a number of laps, but they have found their way back to each other and are now battling away for 7th place on the road. The advantage here for Brian Borg is he actually sat in the booth for about 13 seconds longer than Dan Yeaman did in their first round of pit stops, which means when they get to pit stop number 2, in theory, if the maths stays correct, he will sit in the booth for 13 seconds less than Daniel Yeaman. So this is just really another piece of the puzzle for Brian Borg as he continues his march forward in this field to try and make up places in this race. He has been on a charge all night. The only car that's been faster than him on track for the most part has been Jason Bentz. Luke Orman also showing pace a number of times throughout the evening, but he has been the fastest car on track pretty consistently all night and continues to do so. 2:07.5s faster than anyone else on track on the previous lap, including the man that's already just completed his second stop, Troy Stone Street.
Brian Borg was almost alongside there and was thinking about a move into the cutting. I have never seen, bar an issue with the car ahead, I've never seen anyone pull off a pass through the cutting, and I don't think tonight's going to be the first time, but you never know, I suppose.
Never know, that's true. Absolutely do never know. And look, anything is possible, especially when you're Brian Borg. I would not be surprised if we see him go for an unconventional move before the evening is over.
Ernie Toth and Stephen Varga have found themselves back together again, 17th and 18th at the moment. Ernie Toth only having completed one pit stop though, so he's had a less than ideal run tonight, we know. He's got a bit of work left to do. The one I'm watching at the moment, Troy Stone Street, just coming down into the S's and towards the dipper at the moment as Mark Poynton gets the pass done on Trav Daly. Daly just struggling a little bit for pace. Luke Orman is in at the front of the field. That's the one I wanted to see. Luke Orman has come in to make his second stop. Now the one to watch is Troy Stone Street, currently in 15th position. It's a fair bit of time and distance to make up to catch up to Luke Orman, and if Orman has a bit of a shorter stop here, then geez, he's set himself up well, and with only 15 laps, his tyres will be in great condition. Mark Poynton comes in, Trav Daly comes in, James Hardy comes in as well. So everyone's starting to follow that lead. Brian Borg and Dan Yeaman will stay in this battle because they are side by side as we make our way down towards Hell Corner. Can Borg get it pulled up in time? Dan Yeaman takes the outside line. Can he get the over-under done here? It's a tough ask. He's going to be right in behind Borg, and we're going to see a repeat of that into Griffins, I'm sure, as most of the field comes in to make their second stop.
Yeah, this is pretty much go time. So we've reached about 15 laps to go, and everyone's decided that those that stopped for about 30 to 35 seconds have come in to serve their pit stop. And I think Stone Street will come out ahead of Allman here. So Allman's yet to leave the lane. He's only just coming out now and will actually be a fair distance, I would say, behind Troy Stone Street. So it's actually worked out better for Stone Street than I think we were expecting here, Jared Cole. So that is clean air for Troy, but a significant tyre difference in that car compared to what Luke Orman has, and especially what Jason Bentz is going to have before the evening is done. Jason Bentz is just looking on my screen here, some 37 seconds ahead of Troy Stone Street at the moment. It should be close between the two of them when they come back out. He will only have to sit in the pits for about 15 seconds, so he's not going to have to sit there for very long at all. So for him, he will have to nail getting into the lane without overspeeding, getting into his box, stopping on the marks, and then dropping in, pretty much make it the quickest 15-second pit stop in the history of 15-second pit stops. He will have to nail that and hopefully come out ahead of Troy Stone Street, if not right in behind him with the tyre advantage.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big ask, but if anyone can pull it off, well, there are a few drivers in this field that can. It's just a question of whether they'll do it tonight under pressure. Mark Boynton, for that matter, putting pressure on Trav Daly as they come down through the S's. Both of these cars sliding around all over the place, which is a little surprising because the tyres are only a couple laps old. So these guys are obviously deciding to extract as much performance as they possibly can out of these fresh tyres before they do start to turn. Mark Boynton not quite able at the moment to get past Trav Daly, but he's right there and looking for the move as they come down Conrod Straight once again. Tucked in behind, only a couple of tenths and closing, and here we go. Look at the pace on the way past here. 290 k an hour on the brakes. Trav Daly defends hard on the inside. Point will stay to the outside, and look, we've got it just isn't happening for Red Horse Hill tonight. He's managed to find himself past or out of sync at least with Rick Vigar. But he's immediately stuck in behind Andrew Listener, so he's going to have to really work to get a pass done here. Listener goes heavily defensive to the inside. Also, I'll just sit outside, and it's almost a mirror image of what we just saw from the pairing further up through the field. Ernie Toth in for his second stop now, so he'll start to drop back through the field as the rest of the second half of this field do come past him. Really, the only drivers left to make their second stops, the top five, Jason Bentz through Rick Vigar yet to make their second stops. Brad Hayes in seventh will need to make a second stop as well. The rest of the field all have at least two down. Phil Manuel, it looks as though when we did see him come back in, it was actually to repair perhaps some additional damage, and it seems to have done a fair bit. He's been sitting in that pit bay for a little over 16 minutes now. 7 laps down, it looks to me like Phil Manuel's season has come to an end.
That is very disappointing for Phil Manuel. I saw him in the chat earlier in the Discord apologising to Stephen Varga, so obviously feels very bad about that contact that happened earlier. But again, it has been a rough night for Phil Manuel, and it is, again, after that contact, it was a little bit downhill, lost his front bar, and then whether that damage just wasn't fixed in that first pit stop, I'm not sure, but it put him a lap down, and I think at that point he just felt like he was quite out of it. And a slowdown for Daniel Yeaman, that must mean he's run wide through the chase, because that's really the only place I would suspect we will see slowdowns awarded for a driver this evening. So, strange one, but here we go. We might get a replay here of the off-track for Daniel Yeaman. Exactly what has happened is he done the same thing he did earlier on in the braking zone, gets it a little bit crossed up, quite wide there onto the grass, and massive corner cut, has to try and clear that slowdown pretty much straight away. Nate Morgan saying that these two Mustangs will bring the safety car. I'm assuming that was with these two, and look, I think they were pretty clean. There was moments where you thought they might have, but so far so good. Trav Daly, Mark Poynton, this is the back end of the top 10 at this stage. A couple of cars in front of them still left to pit. I say that the only cars left to pit are McKnight, Yeaman, Borg and Bentz, all of whom should end up in the top 10. We've got a car around. That's Ash Hall. Facing the wrong way, gets it turned around and going again, but that was a scary moment. We could have seen the safety car there as well. So starting to come undone, Jared. We spoke about this, the fatigue towards the end of this race. The mistakes will start to creep in for these drivers. Tyres are worn and brains are worn as well. Everyone's starting to feel the effects of 27 laps around Mount Panorama. It can come undone very easily at just the slight wrong moment. If you get just one braking zone slightly wrong here, there is a wall waiting to invite your car into it.
Have a look at this. Brett Horsell side by side with Vigar, who's just come out of the pits, so they might have thought this battle was over. It picked up right where it left off, although Horsell has managed to get through because Vigar on those fresh tyres, although in the background Burban and Andrew Hoffman just getting a little bit of side-to-side contact on the way up the hill. And it's getting a little bit scrappy as we start to get into the last 10 laps in just a couple of laps time. Absolutely worth keeping an eye on that front end of the field. Troy Stone Street is... Look, there's Luke Orman just poking his nose over the crest of Conrod Straight behind. 4.4 seconds the difference at the moment. That gap is closing down. It's going to take something pretty monumentally unfortunate to happen to Stone Street at this point, you would think, for Orman to take the top step for the season, but it doesn't mean he can't push on and try and take the win here tonight. As Trav Daly and Mark Poynton fly past the camera once again. Mark Poynton still looking for a way past Daly and just not finding it here. That Mustang just blocking up every bit of road they can. Almost a little bit of contact there as Poynton gets the run down towards Murray's again, but won't find it this time. Can he get the over-under past Dunn? He's gotten back to the inside. This could be... Oh, Dan Yeaman's picked up a black flag. Is that another...
That's for speeding on entry.
Is that another pit entry flag? It's got to be, surely. We'll see soon enough because he's in the pit bay now. It's 30 seconds down. If that's a 40-second stop and hold, that's going to send Yeaman all the way down, and his night of racing is well and truly over in terms of that top 10.
Yeah, and he will continue to fall. There's a number of cars that are coming towards the end of their laps now. He's pretty much going to be the last in this field. Here we go for Poynton. Still not able to make it happen. Trav Daly putting that car in all the right spots at the moment just to defend that position. Daniel Yeaman's still in the pits. Oh, coming up to a minute now. That is a 40-second stop and hold, and that is devastating for Daniel Yeaman. He worked so hard to get his way back through this field. A little bit loose there for Mark Poynton as well, it did appear. So those tyres starting to... He did survive it, but it looked very loose. So these tyres are starting to get hot for Mark Poynton towards the back end of this race. He is pushing this car. Trav Daly would love nothing more than to finish this season on a high with a top 5.
See if we can get a shot of that again, because Mark Poynton got very, very loose through the cutting there. Have a look at this. On the power too soon. Gets it sideways. Manages to save that. Great little bit of wheel work from Poynton. And I can tell you that I've done pretty much the same, except it didn't end so well for me up through the cutting there. It very rarely does. So hats off to Mark Poynton for showing us what it's all about in holding together a Gen 3 supercar on the way up the hill. Ash Hall picks up a slowdown as well through an off track. And the night continues for a number of drivers. Look, James Hardy, you've got to say, has got the Cup Trophy wrapped up at this point. If he can just hold it together for another 10 laps, there'll be no doubting it. Well, yeah, look, and if it comes undone now, you're right, I shouldn't have said anything. We know how this goes.
Yep. If it comes undone now, it's your fault, and we will direct James Hardy towards you. And he's frustrated, but I just noticed Phil Manuel jumping in the chat to say he just tried to go too quick after that second stop. And look, that does happen after an incident, especially. You feel like you want to make up for lost time and you push the car a little bit too hard. I've done that a number of times myself, and unfortunately it's just come undone for him, which is super hard luck, but it's disappointing. It's a disappointing way to end the season, but hopefully, Phil, we're going to see you back in the car next season, back at the pointy end of the field. You had a lot of pace out there tonight, mate, so super gutted for you for the way that your race did come to an end with those couple of incidents, but hopefully we'll see you back out there as we get into season 9 and doing what you do best, because it's brilliant when you see you at the top end of the field, and you had some great battles throughout the season, so hopefully we'll see you back. And I finally learned how to pronounce your name correctly, so that's another reason why I want you back, is because I can then continue to pronounce your name correctly rather than get it wrong, Jared, because I spent all this time learning how to pronounce everyone's names correctly, so hopefully they'll stick around. Oh, Dan Yeaman in the chat saying that's him done, so a bit of frustration, I think, around the...
Dan confirmed for us, I assume a stop and hold based on pit entry speed being just a little over the limit. That's what we're assuming. But,
sure. I'm sure we'll confirm, but that's very unfortunate. And for what was a great drive up until that point, cars out of fuel, got rid of pit service to reduce the black flag, but didn't re-enable fuel in time. So that is super disappointing, and now I'm in the box and it won't restart pit service to give me fuel. That is very frustrating.
You know what? I feel that in my soul, because
absolutely,
I had that exact moment in my first run at the Nürburgring 24-hour. I came in and didn't have fuel enabled, and got into the bay, got dropped off the jacks and went, hang on, I didn't take any fuel there. Point and runs very, very wide, gets it back under control.
Wide.
Jeez, he's pushing hard to try and take Trav Daly, isn't he? And he's just costing himself more and more time here. Dropped off the jacks, and sure enough, you cannot, for the love of money, get the pit crew to actually put some more fuel in once it drops you off there.
They just called it a day. So that's done, boys. Thanks, guys. We'll just go and sit back down, shall we? Take a seat. We've worked hard. But no, that is very unfortunate for Dan Yeaman. Look, again, he was having a spectacular run up until that point. 14 places he was up, and now up the inside goes Brett Horsell and Andrew Lister into the final corner and gets a move done. But hopefully we'll see Dan Yeaman back out there next season. Again, another driver that we've loved watching do what he does best this season, pointing into the field. And, inviting himself to the party. Andrew Lister, unfortunately, looking to lose a couple of places. He lost one to Brett Horsell on the final corner in a lovely move. Now, Rick Vigar, even Abel Verban, what's a part of this? This is for second in class. Abel Verban currently sits third in class, but Brett Horsell second in class. And if he can clear both Rick Vigar and Andrew Lister, he could set after Brett Horsell himself a P2 in class. So keep a close eye on what he's doing. But Andrew Lister, again, at the top of the mountain, this is a perfect opportunity for him to try and reset. Less than 10 laps to go. Time to go. Obviously 2-minute laps, so about another 20 minutes left in this race. Still plenty of time for things to happen. Jason Bentz, Brian Borg, both yet to serve their second stop in this race.
Yeah, look, you talk about this in terms of time. 20-odd minutes of racing still feels like a fair bit, and certainly from a fatigue perspective, the drivers will be feeling it. But in terms of opportunities to get a pass done, 9 laps left, you really only got 2 or 3 good passing opportunities around this circuit. If everyone has a clean lap every lap from here, that's very, very quickly running out of options as the night wears on. So all of these drivers are going to have to really push on. Here's one to watch. Trav Daly and Mark Point have been battling it out here. Stephen Varga has just been chipping away at it as Point looks to the outside again. Vargas has just been creeping up on these two, and he's about to join us and make it a 3-way battle for 5th.
Here we go. This is really going to become a nice little battle, isn't it? Point has been working very hard at this. Thinks about it in this turn 1. Here we go. Shows the nose. Trav Daly's left the door open, left a little bit of room. They're squeezing each other on the exit of 1 on the run up the hill now. So up Mountain Straight towards Griffin's Bend. He slits into the slipstream now. Mark Point. He could have to go the long way here. Trav Daly is not going to yield that inside line. He has done some brilliant defensive driving all night to make this as hard as possible for Mark Point. And if he wants to do it, he has to do it the long way around, the hard way at this stage. And again, he backs out of it because turn 4 up into the cutting is not where you want to try and go for an overtake. You can get it done, but it's not the most straightforward place, especially around the outside. You can find yourself getting caught on the off-camber side of the road and feeding yourself into the wall, and that's the last thing you want if you're Mark Point and you're sitting in P6. It is a strong result. You would love to finish in a much stronger position, but again, just bide your time, a little bit of patience now across the top. Try and set yourself up off of Forest Elbow down Conrod Straight.
Yeah, and that's the play here, right? You've got to nail all of these turns, all of these braking points on the way down the hill to have a run out down Conrod. Trav Daly has been under just so much pressure for lap after lap after lap here, and it just isn't easing off at all. Mark Point gets a nice little exit out of Forest Elbow. Stephen Varga not too far behind either, although starting to drop just a little further back. Trav Daly, he's doing just enough at the moment to hold on to this spot. Mark Point, though, still throwing everything that he possibly can. And Jason Bentz and Brian Ball out in front, still yet to serve their second stop. Daly goes defensive once again. Dan Yeaman's just been given the fuel after 6 minutes.
They made him wait. The Greg Murphy penalty.
What? Well, so now I know that all I had to do was wait another 5 minutes in the 24-hour instead of giving myself a 12-hour penalty for cutting the pit lane back around from the end of the GP circuit. Well, thanks for telling me, Dan.
Penalty?
12 minute penalty.
12 minute. About a 12-hour penalty. That seems like a lot.
Honestly, it felt like 12 hours at that point.
It would have, absolutely. This is Jason Bentz. He has yet to come in, by the way. He has not stopped in this race yet. He's maintaining a gap to Troy Stonestreet. I've been keeping an eye on this, folks. He's actually faster than Troy Stone Street at the moment. He was 8 tenths quicker than Troy Stone Street on the last lap, and he is on considerably older tyres than Troy. He pitted on lap 10. Troy Stone Street pitted on lap 17 of this race. He'll have to come in soon, I would imagine, on what is now 22 lap old tyres. But he has done a brilliant job in this stint to look after this and continue to be faster.
And look, the interesting thing is that the gap to Stone Street at the moment, and here he goes, coming in now. So, wow, what a massive, massive drive from lap 10. 22 laps. Hopefully he's gotten on the pit limiter in time there and we don't see another black flag. It looks like it's been clean. But the stop here is going to be so quick. We now watch Troy Stone Street as he makes his way down. Brian Bald continued on. So he's got probably another lap up the sleeve. You'd have to think Bald's coming in next time around. Troy Stone Street, though, the stop here for Benz is going to be so fast that I think he's still going to have a decent gap over Stone Street.
About
we'll see
15
shortly,
seconds.
though. Yeah, we're expecting him to be out of the bay in just a moment. But it will depend. It's still ticking up to 18 seconds, so maybe a little bit longer to give himself just a little bit of extra fuel and be able to push and fight this. But that means that Stone Street and Bence are going to be reasonably close together here. Bence is on the way out. He'll have fresh tyres on. It'll take a moment to get up to temp, but he's maintaining a 5 and a bit second gap now to Stone Street. And with only 7 laps left, that's a big ask for Stone Street to try and close that one down. I wonder what Brian Bald's got up the sleeve when he comes in.
Yeah, and Brian Ball could find himself within a shot of a podium here. So he was about 41 seconds behind Troy Stone Street on Jason Bence. So it was about
Trav
a
Daly
35-second stop there. Oh, here we go.
L corner, Mark Poynton almost has him a little bit of a nudge side to side as they both try and defend positions, and Poynton squeezes Daly all the way over to that right-hand side. He wants to really make this corner at Griffins as difficult as possible. Poynton's got just a little bit of extra pace from the side draft, but they're going to be side by side through Griffins. Poynton pulls out of it again. He just cannot find the line here tonight. Stephen Varga just watching on, waiting, salivating at the thought of both of these guys being taken out in front of him. It's going to be a tight finish for this position.
This is on, and James Hardy's not too far off the back of this either. He could get himself into the top 5 as a Trophy Cup driver if he keeps going the way he's going. This is Craig Rose. So what's happened to one of the other Quantum Camaros? Gets it crossed up into the cutting and just a little bit of contact with that outside wall. Oh, I think it was maybe a little bit of light contact, but avoids major contact with the wall. Oh, look at that!
That
Trying
was so
to
lucky.
do everything he can, and again, we're getting towards the pointy end of this race now, Jared. The patience is running out for these drivers, especially Mark Poynton. He has been sitting behind, looking at the rear bumper of Trav Daly for, I don't know, I've lost count of how many laps now he's been sitting here. The patience is starting to wear thin. The laps are counting down. There is not a lot of time left at all. He is desperate to try and get in front. Brian Ball, when he does come in, should stay ahead of this group. It was about a 35-second stop for Jason Bence, including his stop and transit time. That would put Brian Borg just in behind Luke Allman, so could find himself in the hunt for a podium after starting at the back of the field. It will put him considerably safe in terms of where this battle group is. And here goes Mark Poynton once again. Has to think about the outside. Trav Daly parks car in the middle of the road to go defensive. You'll need to go over under here and maximise the exit if he can. Mark Poynton to set himself up into one. He has got the run. Trav Daly hasn't gone defensive just yet. He thinks about showing the nose. He does show the nose down the inside. Room left by Trav Daly, despite there not being an overlap mid-corner, but it just wasn't close enough for Mark Poynton under brakes. Trav Daly is doing wonders with that Ford Mustang under brakes to get that car pulled up, because he is matching Mark Poynton brake for brake at the moment in all the braking zones and just able to defend beautifully. I dare I say it, even braking a little bit later than Mark Poynton, despite having a narrower line. He is doing everything he needs to do to try and hold him to this position. Mark Poynton is doing everything he can to try and get past, but he's also now got to worry about looking backwards, because here is Steve Varga, and very, very shortly, James Hardy will be there too.
Yeah, it's obviously costing both Daly and Poynton time the longer this goes on, but this has been Daly's MO all night tonight. He's just been absolutely parking it on each and every apex, making life so difficult in terms of getting a pass. He hasn't been the quickest driver on track, but he's absolutely been the hardest to get past. And he's by no means slow, but he's just quick enough that it's been a hell of a battle for everyone to try and get through. Brian Borg is in to the pits. So can Jason Benz close that gap now and get back in front? It's going to be a close thing. 10 seconds now for Brian Borg in that pit bay. How quickly can he get back out? It's 14 seconds now. There's 15. There's 16. 16.13 in the bay. Brian Borg drops to second as Jason Benz goes past him on the front straight. Where's Troy Stonestreet just coming out of Murray's now? Can he get ahead of Borg, or can Borg maintain that second spot? Borg is on the way out. Here he is, but he's got a long pit lane to get down. Here comes Luke Orman. He's going to get ahead as well. Brian Borg has a massive 5 laps ahead of him here to try and close that gap. He's got to be careful on those tyres on the way out and make sure that he does keep it nice and tidy. Massive drive. He's up 18 spots, so can't take anything away from him there, but the battle to get back onto the podium is going to be an epic one for him. The gap back to Trav Daly to Mark Point, huge. We're talking, well, probably about 20 odd seconds at this point as it sort of corrects itself with Borg coming back out on track. 22.7 back to this group here in the battle for 5th.
Yeah, certainly.
The front 4, they are so far in front.
Yeah, we knew this would be the case. These guys have been battling so much, a little bit to their own detriment in terms of being able to gain more positions late in this race by keeping up with those in front of them. But it has provided some great viewing for us. Brian Borg, a bit of work to do to try and catch back up to Luke Orman. He had his pit box right at the start of the lap, right at the start of the pit lane, so he was into the box to get his pit stop done very quickly, but then he had to do his entire transit time after that pit stop was served, which you think is great. He's done his 15 seconds, but he has to do pretty much the entire pit lane before he was able to be released, which is why Luke Orman and Troy Stonestreet were both able to go through. We're looking rearward from the WKMP Sim Sports Ford Mustang of Trav Daly, and look at Mark Poynton. He gained so much across the top in through McPhillamy and then down the hill, but he's just not able to capitalise. This is not a section of circuit where an overtake can be done. If it is done, it's done with great difficulty and usually ends in tears for all parties involved. Will he show the nose here at Forest Elbow? No, doesn't think about it. And then now out of Forest Elbow onto Conrod Straight. He's maximised that exit. That's the nicest run he's had off there all day. There is a lap car just in front of them. That is, I believe, Craig Rose or Ash Hall, one of the two. But he's going through, and now this is the closest he's been coming into the chase now. Shows the nose on the run into 20. There's a little bit of side-by-side contact there. Heavy under brakes now. Who's going to come out on top of this one? It's the inside line for Trav Daly. Mark Poynton is parked high and has to settle in behind once again. Trav Daly continues his beautiful defensive driving, parks the car in the middle of the road once again into the final corner, and Mark Poynton is just not able to find a way past this Ford Mustang. He is making that car as wide as possible at the moment. Trav Daly, he is defending this P5 for his life. What would be his best result of the season, and to finish season 8 on an absolute high after having a few difficult races here and there throughout the season. Finishing in P5 would be a brilliant result, but nevertheless, whoever comes out on top here, Jared, there has been some spectacular racing between these guys.
And it's not done yet. A few laps left ahead. The fireworks are right here, and I don't know whether to keep an eye on this because we're going to have some of the best battling we've seen all season to finish this one off, or because we're going to have the most epic crash that we've seen all season that brings out a last lap safety car. This has been such a monumental effort from all of these drivers tonight, but especially Trav Daly and Mark Poynton putting on this show for us tonight. It's been a huge battle, but it's been so clean, it's been so respectful. It's absolutely the pinnacle of supercar driving on the iRacing service. There is no doubt in my mind.
No, this is as good as it gets, folks. This is what you expect in real life, and it's so hard to do racing like this online because of things we talk about constantly, like netcode and lag and all those things that make it difficult to be side by side with other cars. You don't get something like this too often that doesn't just immediately end in tears, but the racing we have seen here this evening is about as good as it gets, and Bathurst always delivers. Whether it's real life, it's sim racing, there is always something that's happening at Bathurst to just keep you on the edge of your seat, keep you on your toes right until the very end. And this is the battle we are watching here right now. Not as good a run off of Forest Elbow down Conrod Straight for Mark Point. He won't be as close this time. He could look for a late move, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Again, Trav Daly goes defensive, parks that car in the middle of the road. And what that does is just make it harder for Mark Point to go for a last-minute move up the inside. If that car's parked in the middle of the road, he has to think twice before he tries to send the car up the inside. He takes the normal racing line this time, Trav Daly, and they are nose to tail. This is Luke Allman and Brian Borg, the last spot on the podium as well. He's found the pace. Has Brian Borg. He was the fastest car on the previous lap with a 2:06 flat. He is flying out there at the moment. Up the inside at the cutting. That's the first time we've seen that this evening. They're going to be side by side on the exit of 4 through 5. And Brian Borg has got that done in the most unconventional of places.
What an absolutely brilliant pass. It's exactly that kind of move that it takes to get one done there. And Brian Borg has just stepped on it the whole way through. Luke Allman's put on a huge race tonight. He'll be gutted to miss out on a podium, and it was well deserved, but geez, you can't take anything away from Brian Borg. Gets the pass done at the cutting. He's going after Troy Stonestreet now. 5 seconds the difference, 3 laps here. It's going to be a close thing because Stonestreet was a 1.5 seconds slower last time around. Now you do the maths on that. That's 4.5 seconds that Borg could make up here if he can maintain that. It's going to be very, very close to the line. Could Borg get back to second on the podium? That would be an absolutely huge
massive
effort. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, that would be absolutely massive. And for now, he will have clean air. He will run as quickly as possible. In the meantime, there is still that battle going on between Trav Daly and Mark Point. They look very close in the final corner. But again, it is still Trav Daly in front, making that car as wide as possible, driving to the nose. Oh, a little bit loose there from Mark Point. Had to correct, and that will compromise his run down Conrod Straight. He won't be as quick as he would have liked due to that correction. And now he just has to hope he's going to nail the run off, the drive off of the chase here. This is very close as well. This is Rick Vigard and Andrew Listener around the outside for Vigard. Look, the switch back off of Forest Elbow down Conrod. Kenny's in the slipstream now to go for a move. It is very close to a large number of cars out on this circuit. Here is Poynton. Will he have a send into the final corner? Thinks about it, but again, Trav Daly putting that car in the middle of the road, making it hard for Poynton to commit to a move up the inside because he has to go such a long way to try and get that car there, and he just can't quite manage it. Will he go for the move? He shows the nose into turn 1, deep under brakes. This is the deepest he's gone. Very aggressive from Mark Point, and he's going to send him out wide. There's a little bit of room. They're squeezing. They're side by side on the run up the hill now. There is nothing in it between these two, and we've seen this story before, Jared Cole.
We absolutely have. Mark Point gets the nose in front. It's going to be the battle of the late breakers here. Mark Point, can he get it done around the outside? Trav Daly on the inside line, though, will hold that. He's set himself up again and again to defend at Griffins, and this lap is no exception. Stephen Varga just waiting for the moment that these two come together. There is nothing in this. If Poynton can get another run like that and get just a little further ahead, he might have it, but a bit of a wiggle there on the way out of the cutting, and that's going to cost him some time up and over the top. This battle still heats up. Stephen Varga, James Hardy, the two Quantum racing cars, just waiting for the opportunity to waltz on by here if something does come to pass. But look at Trav Daly, just super consistent across the top, and as we reach Skyline, Mark Poynton will start to close in again. We're going to have another crack at this, but we're running out of opportunities for Poynton. He's absolutely used up everything these tyres have to offer. Can he squeeze just a little bit more out of them? That's the real question. He hasn't managed to find it yet, but he's getting closer every single lap. Keep your eye on that gap to Troy Stonestreet from Brian Borg. It is coming down, but not by quite as much as Borg needs it to. It's down to just over 3 seconds with just a couple of laps remaining. This is going to be a close one at the line as well, but we'll keep our eyes firmly planted on Mark Point as he tries desperately to reel in Trav Daly and pick up just one extra last spot here in this battle. The season closer here at Bathurst, and it has absolutely delivered the racing we would expect from this track, from these cars, from these drivers, and from this season overall. Nothing in it. Mark Point just cannot find a way past. Trav Daly taking up every single bit of track with that Mustang. And I tell you what, it's going to be a real uphill battle here. Poynton not quite as close this time around. He's going to have a bit of a look. Doesn't quite set up this time on the way into Hell Corner, but he's going to go for the drive off and onto Mountain Straight. Let's have another crack at this, fellas.
Yeah, let's have another crack indeed. I don't think he's close enough on this occasion, though. And if I'm Steven Varga, it's getting to the point end of the race. If I can get close enough to these two, I'm going to have a crack at Mark Point before this race is over. I'm absolutely going to have a crack. To the outside now for Mark Point. I have to go a long way around, but just not able to be as deep on the brakes as Trav Daly is into the Griffin's Bend. It's just Trav Daly manages to nail that braking zone each and every time. But yeah, Mark Point, he is so fast down the hill. He gains so much. He loses a little bit up the hill, going up through here, through 5, 6, and then into 7 across the top through Solomon Park, but then gains so much once he gets to Skyline 11. He's right under the rear wing now. He'll have to be careful not to make contact in the braking zone. Trav Daly is a little bit more cautious than he is going down the hill, but if I'm Steven Varga and I see that I close right up to these two and there is an opportunity for me to set up Mark Point, I am going to go for it with only a couple laps to go here. He's been patient. He's been waiting for these two potentially to make a mistake, but if there's an opportunity, he will absolutely seize that opportunity. Here we go into the cutting, into Forest Elbow now, down towards turn 18 through 19. The run down Conrod. He's nice and close this occasion for Mark Point. He's running out of opportunities. The white flag's out for Jason Bent. So he started the final lap of the race. There is 2.5 seconds between Borg and Stone Street. I don't think that Borg will get there. He was quick, but not quick enough on the final lap. Point is right with Trav Daly now. He has to go for a late move if he's going to get it done. He looks to go the long way around. Trav Daly again, parking that car on the inside line, shutting down the opportunity that Poynton could have to try and get past up the inside. He's going to do the same thing here again, and Poynton just has to settle for going on the racing line. This is brilliant defensive driving from Trav Daly. I've said it once, I'll say it again. His car placement tonight has been nothing short of perfect. He has put that car exactly where he needs to. Every single lap, every single time, he has nailed those braking zones without fail, and this has been some of the greatest racing I have seen at the mountain.
Absolutely huge defensive effort, and I can't think of the last time I saw someone put on a show like this. It's been, oh geez, it's been a good couple of seasons since we've seen someone defend for what has effectively been the entire race and do it so successfully. Poynton must be getting frustrated behind the wheel of that Frog League Juice Racing entry, but there's just nothing that you can do here. There's no answer to this sort of defensive driving. It's really going to come down to whether or not there's a mistake on this final run up and over the mountain, and you can't imagine it's coming. There's nothing between them. Pointing right on his tail as they come up and start to head towards Skyline, but it's just not going to be enough here. Jason Bentz, to give him his dues, has driven an absolutely massive race here tonight, and comes away with a very, very well-deserved win to finish off his season. As he comes down across the line, and yeah, it does look like we're making it to the end with no safety car, which in itself is testament to the quality of driving we've seen here tonight. Bentz comes around the final corner. That'll do it. He'll take the win here at Bathurst, and what a way to finish off the season. Troy Stone Street comes home in second, and Brian Borg just behind in the end, less than 2 seconds. A massive effort. Luke Orman unfortunately misses out on the podium. This is the remaining battle on track as Craig Rose runs off track somewhere as well. Mark Point, what's he got? One last ditch effort here. Goes to the outside, super late on the brakes. He wants to be on that side of Daly on the run down. Can't quite get there. There's some smoke there, I think, from Craig Rose up ahead, but that'll be it. Mark Poynton surely cannot manufacture something here. Trav Daly is going to walk away with the most well-deserved
Varga's out
position.
of fuel. Sam Varga's out of fuel.
He's just dropped back there. So James Hardy's come through. Oh, look,
he gave the point to Hardy. Is that
Jamie McKnight gets through. Paul Burns coming to Murray's corner now as well.
Is that strategic from Varga to give Hardy more points for the championship?
I don't think it will have been. Let's take a quick look at that last pass. Was it just a late error? I wonder. James Hardy comes through here. Does Varga back out of it? He's already cruising. I mean, maybe just wanted to solidify the Cup Trophy win for his teammate. Look, there was absolutely nothing in it anyway. Jason Bentz, we've just missed the smoke show. Brian Borg is going to go and just drift it around the mountain up the top as well, so why not? Scotty Perrin's just making his way around the final corner to come home in 17th, and Ernie Toth will be the almost last man on track at the moment, save for Dan Yeaman. who is just a little bit further back, and look, good on him for getting back in the car and getting out there to complete the race, even if he will finish a fair way down. So Ernie Toth comes across the line in 18th, and here comes Dan Yeaman as the last man on track. We'll finish in 22nd, but look, can't be too unhappy considering the issue that he had in the pit bay to get back out there and actually finish it off. That has been a huge drive from so many of the drivers here this evening. And let's take a look at the official results from that race. Jason Bent comes home with the win by just over 6 seconds to Troy Stonestreet. Brian Borg, a huge drive to get back into third after starting from the back, dropping back through after the pit stops and then climbing back up again. Luke Orman, unlucky to miss out on the podium here tonight. Trav Daly just behind them. Mark Poynton tried desperately to get past and just couldn't in the end. Daly's defensive performance, absolutely wonderful. James Hardy takes the win in the Cup Trophy class, comes home in 7th overall after Stephen Varga, I suspect, is probably just giving him an extra couple of points there to make sure he does hold on to the Cup Trophy class win. We'll check those out in a moment. Jamie McKnight in 9th, Paul Burns in 10th. Then Horsell, Listener and Vigar ahead of Burban and Hoffman. Hayes, Perrins and Toth ahead of Troy Sipple and Ash Hall as the first drivers to finish a lap down. Further back through the field, Craig Rose finishes 4 laps down, Dan Yeaman 4 laps down, and Phil Manuel unfortunately only making it about halfway through tonight. Not his night, not the way he would have wanted to finish off that season.
No, not the way he'll want to finish that season off at all. Take my hat off to that battle between Trav Daly and Mark Poynton at the end there as well. That was spectacular. A little bit of an outside front lock there going into the chase for Mark Poynton, which I think compromised his run off of 21, into 22, and then down in the final corner at Murray's, which meant he wasn't able to just have one last lunge at Murray's corner with being close enough. But it was a brilliant battle, and I take my hat off to the two of them. Some of the best wheel-to-wheel supercars racing I've seen on iRacing, and it was absolutely fantastic. I believe, Jared Cole, we now get the pleasure of having a chat to a few drivers about how they feel about tonight's racing.
I mean, where do you even start tonight? And look, we'll start at the bottom of the podium and work our way up. An absolutely massive drive tonight for Brian Borg, who joins us in the booth now. G'day, Brian.
Hey, mate.
Well, that was certainly an effort for you tonight, starting at the back of the field effectively and making your way all the way through and getting back onto the podium, up 19 spots. Tell you what, mate, Bathurst, a bit of a favourite for you, obviously.
Obviously, yeah, I do like the track. No laps before practice, but yeah, it was good fun. Decided to put in a lot of fuel in the first stop, and then I was stuck behind a whole gang of cars, so probably just lost a little bit there. But it was so much fun. Just every lap was just on rails.
Oh, mate, it looked like a lot of fun out there, and a super clean race from everybody. Like to get through a round at Bathurst with no safety car, that must become some kind of record tonight, I reckon. You've absolutely done your part. Some of the cleanest overtakes we've seen in a long time. Looking back on this season, was it everything you hoped it would be? And maybe not the standings finish that you would have hoped for, but certainly some good racing from you right throughout.
Yeah, look, I didn't really take it too serious this season. I was a little bit committed too much with work and stuff, but in the last couple rounds, yeah, look, you know, it's just, you know, how much effort you put into it, I guess. But going back on your safety car, yes, I do agree. Very clean racing. I usually don't wear a jumper, but I wore a jumper tonight and I'm sweating. Like, I reckon I've lost like 3 kilos in that race.
Well, mate, it's just taking sim racing to the next level, isn't it? I mean, maybe we should enforce that next season. Sweatsuits for everybody when they're racing at home.
My engineer Ludo told me no cool suit on, you know. So yeah,
mate, a good night of racing.
Guys, yeah, it was a very good night, and a lot of respect out there from the other drivers. Thank you guys for what you guys do, man. Like, that would have been hard work even for you guys to commentate on a race with no brakes.
You know what? It's not hard work when you've got such amazing racing on show. It's just brilliant to watch, and I reckon we've seen some of the best, if not the best, supercar racing that exists on the iRacing service. That's happened here tonight. Huge efforts from everyone involved. Before we let you go, Brian, for the last time this season, mate, anyone you want to say thanks to?
Yeah, just the sponsors on the car, Mustang Mods. Anyone looking for a Mustang, we've actually got a Mustang up for sale, so head over to Mustang Mods, have a look at the car. It's a beast of a car. Like if you're looking at a new Mustang, do not pass this Mustang. You have to buy it, trust me. There's over $50,000 worth of mods on this car going for the price of a new one. So that was a big shout out to that car. Sorry guys, I had to put it in there.
That's fair.
MP Concepts, Reflective Art, which is our detailing business as well. Bon Electricals, if anyone needs any electrical work in Melbourne, hit them up. And well done to Jason Bentz for the race win and his team, and Troy as well for P2. Thank you guys for this season, and hopefully bring it on for next season.
It's been a pleasure, Brian. Congratulations on the results tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing you back again for the next one.
Too easy. Thank you, guys.
Brian Borg there takes P3. We're gonna skip ahead just a little to tonight's winner, and we bring into the booth again this week Jason Bentz. G'day, Jason. Welcome back, mate.
Hey guys, cheers. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a good race.
I tell you what, we didn't see a great deal of you out there tonight because you were just so far in front and so much in your own race tonight. But geez, what a result in the end! A 6-second gap over the sort of competition that you saw here tonight was nothing short of impressive. There's no two ways about it. How did it feel for you out on track?
Yeah, it was a bit slippery in the first stint. I thought wasn't quite reacting the way I thought it was going to go, but I just stuck to my game plan. I think I put 123 litres in after I'd done the 50 litre drop, and yeah, Luke and that were a bit ahead of me, but I just tried to keep to my lap pace and thought I'd come out even or a little bit ahead when I did my last stop, which I did.
Oh, mate, it's certainly been a pleasure to watch here tonight from absolutely everybody on track. It was the cleanest and some of the closest racing we've seen, not only in this season, but in supercars generally, and to happen at Bathurst for a season close is, you can't ask for anything better than that, really. Looking back on the season, any real highlights for you? I know you've just kind of taken it, race at a time without really looking too far ahead, and certainly
we're only 3 rounds into the season, aren't we? This last 3 rounds is all that matters.
pretty close to that. And look, certainly looking back on your last 3 rounds, if it hadn't been for some of the earlier ones, you'd be right up there, mate. Is it giving you a bit of something to look forward to for next season, maybe?
Yeah, depends how much effort you want to put into it, I guess.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yep.
Mate, a great few results. Congratulations on taking out the final race for the season. And yeah, looking forward to getting more opportunity to have a chat to you next season, mate. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you do go?
Just all the Quantum Racing guys, Quantum Tint Solutions and Gard. Thanks for jumping on board for the season.
Always a pleasure to chat to you, Jason. We'll no doubt be doing it again sometime soon, mate. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
And look, we've got a couple of drivers lined up here, but I think the last one we need to talk to tonight is Troy Stonestreet. I'm just looking for him here as we bring him on into the booth. It's not quite been a win for tonight's race, but it is the win for the season. It's none other than Troy Stonestreet. He joins us now. G'day, Troy.
There you go, mate.
Well, mate, look, I suggest that we're probably a fair bit comfier up here in the booth than anyone on track tonight. That was a massive drive tonight to finish off the season. 40 laps at Bathurst is no small feat, and then you throw in the sheer pace that we saw out there tonight, and you had to work hard for it, didn't you?
I did, and I made it harder than I probably should have been by only putting half the amount of fuel in the first stop that I was meant to. I thought I was splitting 70 litres in half, but I was meant to split 140 in half. So
Yeah, look, I did wonder about it. It was a very, very short stop, only about 16 seconds if memory serves. And I'll be honest, you had both Isaac and I trying to figure out your strategy and just what was going to happen. But
don't worry, I was. I said to Burns, I said, "Geez, how much fuel have you got in your tank?" And he said 70 litres, and I was like, "No, that's what I'm meant to have." But it wasn't too bad. I did get lucky after I filled it right up the last stop, and when I started catching the pack, I was thinking I'm just going to get so held up here, and I had to make a couple of passes. But once I really caught the thick of the pack, they started peeling off to the pits, and I was like, there was one stage there was a safety car. I thought there'd be a safety car, and I was thinking this is perfect. Safety car is exactly what I want to put me on the same higher strategy as everyone, but it wasn't to be, so I just had to nurse the tyres the whole way home, which it's not too bad around here. The tyres are not such a heavy track on tyres, I don't think.
well, that's about the first time I've ever heard someone say that Bathurst is nice to tyres. So we'll take that for the
It's
evening.
not. Yeah, I think it's just more when the car gets light that you kind of. We're just saying, talking with Brian and Luke in the green room, and we're actually all doing our most consistent sort of race pace towards the end of each stint. It's just when the car gets light, and I don't know. It's not many tracks are like that, but this one seems to be. So it wasn't too bad. But I just wanted to finish off the season with. I sort of raced a bit soft last week at Adelaide, just kind of trying to protect the lead, and I got out of the sim just thinking that's not how you want to sort of race. So I thought tonight I'll just go for it, and I didn't really have much to lose. I'm pretty sure I only had to just finish the race to seal it, and yeah, it was good fun. It was a good race.
Mate, it was great to watch a huge result across the season for you. Massive congratulations on both the result tonight and the win. Of course, the official result will come through post-race, but from our perspective, it's hard to see any scenario in which it goes any other way. So, mate, a massive win for you for Season 8. Before we let you go, anyone you want to say hello to or say thanks to?
Yeah, I'll just say thanks to all the boys at 801. I just kind of joined them a couple of months ago to go back and race with some old mates that I sort of started sim racing with, and it's been fun, especially Burnsy. We've been doing this ASR together, and also thanks to the WKMP boys, I'm still affiliated with them, so they've been, especially Johnny Van Ree's been very understanding of me just wanting to go back and have a bit of a change, hang out with some different mates, and thanks to ASR, all the races, as I say, I've said a few times, it's pretty good fun league, and everyone's respectful and just out to have, don't take it too serious, have a good time. So it's run pretty well, and appreciate everyone's effort, and obviously broadcast, race control. Thanks for all your time and effort as well.
Always a pleasure to chat, Troy. Thanks so much for your efforts across the season of putting on such a great show, and looking forward to hopefully seeing you back again for next season, hey?
Yep, I'll be back. I'll be re-registered, so look forward to it.
Love to hear it. Thanks, Troy, and congrats again, mate. Brilliant season.
Thank you. Good on you. See ya.
West Automotive takes the win for the season. We'll take out the championship. And look, it wouldn't be right for us to overlook the Cup Trophy class, because he's had just a huge season, some brilliant qualifying results, some great racing. I can't imagine he's staying in the Cup Trophy next time around. It is, of course, James Hardy that joins us here. G'day, James.
How you going, guys?
Mate, we are probably feeling far less of the effects of tonight's race than you are. A lot of work out there, a lot of hard battling. It was a great one to watch from our perspective. How did you enjoy the final race of this season?
I was just trying to keep the head down, bum up, trying to stay clean and put in some decent laps. I was pretty happy with the performance at the end.
Mate, story of your season, it probably ended up a little bit closer in the end in terms of the points in the Cup Trophy class than some of your results earlier on might have made it seem. But to come back and look, it'll all depend on the official results, but I can't imagine it'll be too much different. We didn't see much in the way of penalties tonight. You ended up almost nose to nose with Walsall at the beginning of tonight. Was that on your mind throughout tonight's race? And indeed, is that what we saw from Stephen Varga, just giving you an extra spot at the end to try and make sure you sealed the deal?
Yeah, no, still, Vargs helped me out in the end just to get that little bit of
Good
a
on
buffer.
Good on him.
So it was good. No, it was good, really good. Yeah, no, it's I've been been thinking about it all day. Brett's been driving really well, so I thought I'd better put me bum down and get going.
Well, mate, absolutely delivered tonight. Got you in amongst some pretty full-on battles, and you were always there right across the evening, just like you have been all season. The only real question I've got left for you is, how do you feel about stepping it up to the open category for next season and having to do that up against some of these guys that you've been qualifying up there with them, but the race pace has been just a little off where you probably like it to be. Have you got some plans ahead for getting ready for next season? Because there's no way you're staying in Cup Trophy class at this point, surely.
No, I don't think I'm staying in Cup Trophy anymore. Just more practice. Jason Benz is really good at teaching us slower drivers. It's we do a lot of team practice, which is good. So I'm looking forward to it. But we'll see how we go.
Mate, we're looking forward to it just as much here in the booth, I can tell you that much. So it's shaping up to be another great season ahead. Plenty of time off in between, though, for you to go and get in some practice laps and get all of the info you can from Jason and others, of course, in the off-season. Before we do let you go, though, mate, we haven't had much of a chance to chat to you across the course of the season. So is there anyone you want to say hello to or give a shout-out to for any of their support across the full 10 rounds here?
Just the guys at ASR. Without Troy and Rick, this wouldn't be possible. Thanks to you guys. And just Team Quantum.
Great to get you into the booth to finish off the season, and what a way to do it at Bathurst. A brilliant drive for you in the Cup Trophy class, a well-deserved win. Thanks so much for putting on the show across the season, mate.
Thank you for having me.
James Hardy takes out the Cup Trophy class, and that'll just about wrap us up for the drivers that we're going to have a chat to here this evening. Isaac, I can't think of a better way to have finished off this season.
No, this has been fantastic. There has been some spectacular racing, and as you can see, Troy Street coming home 110 points clear at this stage. We'll wait for the final count, obviously, to come through, but 110 points clear of Luke Orman. Mark Poynton finishes third in the championship. Brian Borg, in the end, with that third place, gets himself back up to fourth and displaces Stephen Varga by a spot. So Stephen Varga actually maybe hit, I don't know if the points difference would have been enough for him to absolutely to take that place back off Brian Borg, but he finished in P5 in the end. Jason Benson, then James Hardy, Brett Horsell, pretty close on points. It was close in the end, but not close enough.
Just as a call out though, Jason Benz up 6 positions from tonight's result. Tell you what, it could have been very, very different for him had he had the full season of results like that, and certainly one to watch for next season. As are a lot of the names here for this evening. James Hardy will be right in amongst it. Like a 7th place overall from a Cup Trophy driver. Take nothing away from Brett Horsell either, finishing in 8th overall. Ayla Verban in 10th overall. Those top 3 in the Cup Trophy class, I mean, they certainly won't be Cup Trophy next season, you wouldn't think. But just shows how close the competition has been across all 10 rounds. And season 9, it's shaping up to be even better again.
Oh yeah, I've been keeping a very close eye at them. At the moment, we're kicking things off in Mexico, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, and that will be fantastic. That circuit is built for road course racing and supercar racing, so that will be a fantastic way to kick off the season. And I'm looking at the entry list at the moment, Jared Cole. There are some big names stepping back into the cars next season. Matt Vanderkraan is registered. Will Buchanan is going to be coming back into the series, as is Nick Geary. Luke Powell also coming back, and Jace Douglas. So Jason Douglas will be back in the car as well next season. So there are some big names stepping back into cars, with the number 1 on the door for Troy Stone Street potentially. If he decides to take the number 1, he could stick with his 044. We'll have to wait and see. But number 1 on the door for Troy Stone Street. He will be the target for everyone to aspire to next season. He's the first driver to step up to replace the massive shoes that were left to be filled by our 3-time champion. I've forgotten.
Wayne Walker's name.
Wayne Walker. It slipped my mind. It's I've frozen mid-sentence. My brain has decided it's actually 10:30 at night and it's done for the evening. So apologies to Wayne Walker, but massive shoes that we were wondering who would step up and fill those this season. It was Troy Stone Street. Can he continue that next season, or will there be? And I have no doubt there will be some big names stepping up to throw the gauntlet down and challenge him for that number 1 on the door for season 9. But it's going to be a cracker.
June 30th, it all kicks it back off for Alliance Sim Racing. So mark it in your calendars and keep an eye out, of course, on the Simple Racing broadcast schedule. We'll get that all booked in over the next couple of weeks. Once again, a huge thank you to everyone involved with Season 8 here for Alliance Sim Racing. Gard Saint-Gobain as the major sponsor once again this season have been absolutely phenomenal in supporting this league and this event right throughout this season, and we're hoping to see that support continue into next season, I believe. Also for Chubby, Buns, Burgers, for Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, Nicol Photography. The support from these guys has been fantastic throughout the season, and of course the guys in race control from 24/7 Sim Services right throughout the season. It's a tough gig. You couldn't pay me enough to be a race control steward in any iRacing league, much less one where it's so close and so competitive as this one has been. So a brilliant job from them. Once again, that'll wrap it up for Alliance Sim Racing. The Supercar Championship for Season 8 is done and dusted. Season 9 just around the corner. Plenty more racing to come here in the next couple of days with Simple Racing Broadcast. Keep your eye out for more events on the schedule. You know where to find it. It's just down below. And while you're there, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do, so you don't miss out on any of the amazing racing action. On behalf of everyone here at Simple Racing Broadcast, Isaac Fogarty in the booth with me here tonight again. It's been a great season all round, and we can't wait to bring you the next one. Do stick with us until we see it. It's going to be, though, a very warm wishes to everyone watching at home. Thanks for keeping us company in the chat across the season as well. I think it's about that time. Until we do see you again for whichever the next broadcast might be. It's goodbye for now.